back to Straight Facts on Friday. We're joined by Don. We're joined by Lawless, and we're joined by man like Staffy. We never know what Staffy we're going to get. It could be a United hater. It could be a United lover. It all depends on the mood he is in. And we had the biggest pause moment ever when Don came backstage. He came straight in as, guys, I was just choking to death for no reason. He said, my eyes are watering. I was choking to death.
Don, it was me.
And we have still confused onto what it was he was choking on. We don't know. We don't know what he was choking on. Maybe it'll be
Polar. What was Staffy choking on? Answer in the chat. What was
Staffy choking on?
Pause, man. What do you mean he was choking?
Hey, it wasn't me, by the way, people. That's what he's talking about. It was you, Staffy, that was choking.
Staffy. Did I say Don? I meant
Staffy.
I said sorry. My apologies. It was Don. The Staffy came on. I'm choking on something. He was like, I need to choke to death. He still hasn't told us what he choked on.
I just choked.
He did. Yeah.
His eyes are watering and everything.
We're here for you, man. We're here for you, man. It's all right.
I tell you,
don't just randomly choke when you're drinking water or maybe eating something. Like sometimes you just choke. It's fine.
I don't know about that.
Why do you have to make that
uncomfortable? I stopped doing that when I was like 3 or 4 years old, to be honest. Like,
all right, man. Anyways,
you still need people to like put you over the shoulder and tap you on the back.
Let's talk less about me choking and more.
What's going on here?
Imagine someone doing that to Staffy. Staffy's what, 6'4"? That's all.
It'd have to be a massive person to do that. Huge, you know what I mean?
We'll have to get Patrick.
You need Batista for that spine buster.
Staffy, over here we call that going down the wrong hole. Like if you drink something, you start joking. It's like, oh, it must have gone down the wrong hole.
You saying you were choking because you went down the wrong hole? What's going on?
Bro, look at the super chat. Look at the super chat you sent. You started. Look at
this. We're not even 5 minutes in. We are
not even 5 minutes in.
Losers. That's all I'm saying.
Loads to talk about on the show today, people. Big interest from Man City and Liverpool reportedly for Cole Palmer. Could he be leaving? Would it be the right thing to do? A big take from a Man United fan. The done deal for Cunha is very, very close indeed. United fans are excited. Football fans are angry, but there's a massive take from a Man United fan that we're going to show you and that we're going to debate on the show as well. We're going to take a look ahead, of course, at the FA Cup games this weekend because they're the only important football matches. With all due respect to Liverpool, they're champions, and we will celebrate with them, sort of, when they do it. We're not going to preview the game against Tottenham because it's just an absolute dead rubber. So we're going to look ahead of that. Plus, we won't see the boys between now and when Arsenal have their massive Champions League game against PSG. We want to have a bit of a debate around Saka versus Dembele. Who is going to come out on top? Give a shot. By the way, we are going to be getting the PSG International on the channel next week. I've already spoke to him. So yes, he will be coming onto the Football Terrace to talk about all of those things. But I wanted to share a post to begin with. And this is from a Man United fan that said, selling Garnacho to fund Cunha and Delap is the equivalent to selling your future for the present, much like how Chelsea messed up with Salah and Kevin De Bruyne.
That's a take, all right. That
is a huge take. In terms of this comment, Staffy, is short-term squad balance worth, in this person's opinion, sacrificing a potential world-class player in Garnacho?
First of all, whoever that person is, I'd like to ask them what attributes did they look at in Garnacho they think that can reflect into a future Salah or a future De Bruyne. Because that's the most important thing. Mo Salah was loaned out. Mo Salah wasn't that great at Chelsea, but he was loaned out and you knew what his skill set was. And you had Italian teams lining up for him. And obviously with his own hard work, he actually came back and became something that a lot of us didn't expect him to be. And that's down to him. De Bruyne didn't really have a great relationship with Jose Mourinho at the time. They had the likes of Oscar and Ramirez playing in the midfield. You know, Salah couldn't get ahead of Schürrle. But listen, at the end of the day, that Chelsea team was winning leagues. So we can't really say Chelsea messed up because those guys left and then they won the league. So the revisionism needs to stop. Now, do I look at Garnacho and I see raw attributes that can be developed into a future De Bruyne and the future Salah? No. Because Salah, as much as he wasn't technical at his time at Chelsea, and still until this day, he gets doubted for his technical ability, which is a different debate. He had one thing. He had blistering pace. Sorry, he was very fast. He was able to go to the Serie A, kind of show that he could be that type of winger that's very direct, and he started adding goals to his game. Garnacho doesn't even have that physical attribute. He doesn't. Like, Salah at 21 is better than Garnacho at 21. Kevin De Bruyne left Chelsea, lit up the Bundesliga, and then came back to Man City. I forgot the stats they had that season, but I think he wasn't he the best player in the league that season, something like that.
I'm pretty sure it was like over 30 GA, bro.
He was insane. He was going nuts over there. I'm pretty sure he put double-digit goals and assists that season. There's nothing that I see in Garnacho's game that suggests to me that he could do that, because he's at 21 right now. He has like 3 years of Premier League experience now playing. He's been a starter for the majority of these 3 years. And there's nothing that I look at when it comes to Garnacho that suggests that he will be a future star. I look at all his raw attributes, and nothing shows me that he can be developed into that. Can he be something better than he is? Yeah, sure, maybe. I don't know if he will, but people talking about sacrificing our future. First of all, Salah and De Bruyne never got 50 million offer. That is way more than Chelsea made over those two. So we can actually make a lot more money on Garnacho than they did on Salah and De Bruyne. So not only do I see that he doesn't have the ceiling, we are getting an insane amount of money offered for a player that I think is very limited. I don't think he has a future in this team. I don't think he has a future in this system and this squad. I think he thinks he's better than he is. If he was a little bit more of a humble role player, not someone who has an ego of Zlatan Ibrahimovic and the ability of Bebe, I probably would have accepted him in this team. But I don't think he understands that he's that. So for those reasons alone, I'll bite your hand off for 50 million. So if Napoli come back and Chelsea come back with a 50 million offer, I'm taking it 100%.
Yeah, I think right now, you know, where United are, man, you're in a position right now, Staffy, where Amorim can't be depending on guys like Garnacho. You know what I mean? It's very similar to Chelsea, bro. Like, you've basically got squad players that are starting week in, week out. So you're not going to see the best of Amorim. You're not going to see the best of this system. You want players that are going to come in straight away, like a Cunha. Me and you was talking the other day, funny enough, Staffy, and I was showing you tweets from 2023 saying Cunha needs to be a midfielder, bro. Yeah, when Wolves were playing him up top, because I could clearly see this is a guy on the ball who was actually reminding me of Moussa Dembele, bro. Yeah, going back to that game when you lot played them, first game of the season when Onana wanted to punch my man in the face, the quality was clear to see, bro. You know what I mean? So listen, getting rid of Garnacho is definitely a step in the right direction, man. I think, you know, he doesn't seem to have that relationship with the fans at the minute. Like you're saying, he thinks he's bigger than what he is, and ultimately you can use that money to replace him and bring someone who fits what you're trying to do a lot better. You know, I feel if Garnacho was a squad player, I think it wouldn't be a problem, bro. You bring him on against tired legs, he'll do a job. But when you're starting, man, week in, week out, you're seeing him chopping in the other week, and he's literally right in front of the keeper, and he's missing. Yeah, big chance after big chance. You can't be seeing that at United, bro. Yeah, this is not the United. This is me speaking objectively. Growing up, bro, I always knew United to always have a good attack. Yeah, what I'm watching right now is blasphemy, bro. You know what I mean? So you got to get rid of him.
Making the final third is horrible. His take-ons one-on-ones they're the worst in the league, by the way. He has a 29% take-on rate for players in the Premier League that at least attempted 60 take-ons or more. So
it's him right in there, isn't it? Yeah, and I think Neto's on that list as well. Yeah.
It's horrible, bro. He's really bad. You watch him and Højlund play together, and they always look. This is what I always feel like when I watch those two. I feel like the club goes to like Manchester City Center or something. They pick two random people and they put them in a Garnacho and Højlund costume and they send them out there because they never have any chemistry. Yeah. They look like they've never played with each other. They don't know how to pass the ball to each other. They don't know how to play off each other. Him and Højlund are still on single-digit goals. And they played more than anyone this season. Like, but they always play.
This ain't even their fault, though, Staffy. This ain't even their fault. This is where you got to look at your club for putting Rasmus in a situation where he's starting week.
No, that's fine. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Garnacho, same thing as well.
The
Garnacho,
thing is, though, when it comes to people saying looking at the club, like I do agree with you, and I think most Manchester United fans have looked. We have looked at our club. We know that our club has made mistakes. There's no doubt about it. The problem that I have is that so many of these mistakes were made before the people running it now came in. So Ineos didn't have any of the ownership. I'm talking about the Rasmus signings and everything else. And well, look, they made mistakes in Ineos in the summer. They've admitted that, keeping Ten Hag. They should have started what we're doing now sooner. But at the same time, this is one of the reasons why I get frustrated at people going crazy at Amorim. Poor recruitment and poor squad building. No direct project at the football club in terms of a footballing identity, which means every 18 months or 2 years, we're changing the profile of players that we buy. You create these Frankenstein squads. You end up in these scenarios. The Garnacho thing for me isn't even that deep. I like Garnacho when he came through. I hope that he would work out. But let's be honest. In this system under Amorim, people keep saying, like, who is he improved? And I really don't like that metric. I always feel like it's used to people are used in an underhanded way, because I look at it this way. He started off a little bit rocky, but before he done his knee, let's not pretend that the Sandro Martinez wasn't starting to look really good. Let's not pretend that by and large, Maguire, that none of us think is good enough, has had a pretty good season. There are lots of pros putting up Bruno Fernandes as a potential candidate for Player of the Year. He won't win it, but he's had a fantastic season. Ahmad, until his injury, has been absolutely brilliant. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Maz has had a brilliant season. Delap under this manager has been excellent. Absolutely brilliant. One mistake he made against, what's the name of that team? Liverpool, where he dives in. Outside that, he's been excellent. So it's not even true that players haven't improved or had consistent performances as individuals. But for me, Garnacho has gone backwards. And I feel that it's because we've changed the way we're going to play. And there was always going to be casualties. Whenever the club decided we're going to play football in this particular manner, there was always going to be players in the current squad who didn't suit it, because we're a Frankenstein squad. We are not built for any direct way of playing football or sort of a philosophy of football. It's 4 or 5, 6 different managers' ideologies all rolled into one squad, and it's a mess. So I don't get this notion of we're selling our future for the present. Man United need to improve in the present. And equally, if you look at that comment, it mentions Delap. Delap's a player that's also for the future as well. So I don't even understand. If we had Delap in our team this last 6 or 7 months, he scores a lot of those chances Garnacho misses. We're much higher in the league, so there's less pressure on Amorim. And I think we'd all be far more confident of knocking out Bilbao in the semi-finals of the Europa League. So I don't really get the tweet. I'm not about players over the football club. And with the players we're linked to, and if we look at, we are very close to getting a here we go for Cunha before the season even ends. And the Man United fans are not picking up on this for me, this golden nugget. As far as I can remember, the last time we signed and he wasn't even a significant player because no one knew who the fuck he was. And I mean that with respect. 2010 is the last time we did this. We actually had a player wrapped up before a season ended, and that was Chicharito.
It was Memphis 2016.
Oh, so we did Memphis. Okay, I forgot about Memphis, right? So you're Memphis. But even then, that's 9 years ago. For me, it just tells me there's a significant difference in how we're operating. And still, Man United fans rolling with the negativity on the negative all the time. Honestly, it's so jarring. So jarring.
I think there's a attachment fans have to young players in their squad of the sort of idea that this player is going to turn into be the next superstar, and you've signed them, for a relatively cheaper fee, and you've seen them develop at your club. So I get the attachment. However, Man United, I don't think you can afford to really wait to see if Garnacho is going to turn into being anywhere near that sort of player. With the way how this season's gone, I'm not saying there's massive pressure next season, but there has to be massive improvements next season from this season. So signing some players now that can come in and make a big impact, so like a Cunha, like a Delap, if that means get rid of Garnacho and he happens to turn into the next Salah, which I very much doubt, then that's a risk I think you should be willing to take. And I think those signings make an instant improvement to what you've got. So, yeah, I kind of see where they're coming from, but yeah, it's crazy.
Salah was scoring Champions League goals against prime Chelsea in when he was 21 with Basel. If Don will remind you of that.
Against us. I'm pretty sure
he scored in both games, and that's one of the reasons Mourinho wanted him.
Yeah,
played in Switzerland, and then he went on Chelsea, and then he got all the experience in 2 teams in the Italian league, and then he came back. He went through the whole learning curve. I don't see anything in Garnacho's time at United where he went through struggles to become that kind of player to start comparing in the future to Salah and De Bruyne. Maybe this is the move that if he gets shipped to La Liga or Serie A or somewhere else where he starts working on his game and his craft a little bit better. And people would like to do this. And I saw someone in chat say that, saying if Garnacho goes somewhere else and he becomes a good player, stuff is going to be the first one to complain. Not at all. I'll say fair play because I look at his game and I don't see anything. If we sold someone who I think is very talented and all the big clubs are lining up for him, that in that case, I'd be angry. I don't look at him and I think he's that good. So if I could cash in and get that money and rebuild a better team with better profiles that fit this team right now, why wouldn't I do it? And Lawless, you said it perfectly. And I always say it's the post-Fergie syndrome. A lot of United fans, unfortunately, never understood football. And still 10 years, 12 years later, they still don't understand football outside of what we did under Fergie. It's always about we have to keep all the youth. We have to develop all of them. It's on our DNA. We don't sell youngsters. If we did, probably we'd be a better club because not every academy player is meant to come into this team and become the next Giggs, the next Scholes, the next Neville, the next Rashford, the next Nicky Butt, the next whoever. Like this needs to stop. Not every player we need to grow an attachment to.
It's not even true. It's not even true. Listen, Nicky Butt and Phil Neville were a really important part of the squad through the 90s and early 2000s. But as football started to evolve, as other clubs like Chelsea, for instance, got more money and suddenly there was more team competing against us, Sir Alex and Man United knew that the overarching depth of the squad had to improve. So players got moved on, plus change is as good as a rest. We've also seen players like Darren Gibson, as an example, come through the academy, be given a chance, not get to the levels needed, and be moved on. We saw Kiko Makeda burst onto the scene. He was given opportunities. He was loaned out. He came back, was given more opportunities. He was moved on. And there are countless other young players who
talk about Wilson as well, bro. That striker.
Well, Wilson's post-Fergie. I'm looking at like the Fergie era. Fergie got rid of so many academy players that were not up to the level.
Terry, the irony of this is, bro, the irony of this is, Garnacho ain't even as good as Januzaj, bro. Januzaj was way better than this guy.
Januzaj suffered from playing in a system where we didn't have a role for him as well, because he was supposed to play in the 10 role, and then we had Louis van Gaal, and he was like, you're either gonna play striker or wing back, and he wasn't good for either one. He wasn't as physical. He wasn't good, so he was more technical.
Kevin here brings up the best example. Well done, Kevin. He's a Liverpool fan, but Keith Gillespie was a very good Premier League player in the 90s. He was part of the class of 92. He was let go by Man United, I think, before he even kicked a ball. I look at Garnacho, and there is a possibility Garnacho goes on to have a really good Premier League career at another club. What I'm seeing, and look, if he stays and he goes to another level and I'm wrong, I'll accept it. I'll say I'm wrong and I'll celebrate it because I don't want to be right. But my gut feeling when watching him play in Amorim's system is that it's not going to work for him. And at the end of the day, the club needs to build a philosophy and buy and promote from the academy the correct profiles for that system. What we've got to stop doing, because we've done it too much in the last 12 years, and I do think it's one of the key components in the squad section of the failure that we've had. We've got to stop trying to force and put square pegs into round holes. Doesn't mean you shouldn't get versatile players that can play a couple of positions, but the way these 10 roles now work at the club, we need players that are very comfortable centrally, that can drift out wide, not players that are only comfortable out wide on the left, sometimes the right, but when they've got space to run and work into. We need players that are better in more intricate areas, and I just don't think he's that guy. He will leave and do well elsewhere, though, the same as we've seen Alanga do, the same as Rashford's doing right now. But I am a little frustrated with United fans are just very short-sighted, and that they're not looking at the bigger picture, because if Delap and Cunha and Mbeumo come in this summer, and part of funding that is Garnacho going, I think Man United have gone to another level. I think we've got far more goals, far more speed, far more power, and we'll be in a much better situation as a club. That doesn't mean that because Garnacho's doing well elsewhere, if you'd have kept him, you'd be doing even better. Well, no, the proof's in the pudding. Same with Rashford. 18 months he weren't performing. I don't care to a degree what he's doing at Villa from the perspective of, he would have been doing that here if he would have stayed. I'm pretty confident we'd have got the same Rooney we had, same Rashford we've had for the past 18 months. The change is as good as a rest for some people. The system's different. The atmosphere is different. The environment's different, and they thrive. And by the way, I want to shout out La Liga while we're on the subject. Thank you again for posting more footage of Anthony, saying that he's the GOAT. They wrote he's the GOAT. That's another £3 or £4 million on the asking price. Thank you, La Liga. You absolute fucking legend, you.
Bro, they got Isco saying, let's start a GoFundMe to keep Anthony. Bro.
I love it. I love it, bro. I'm saying 60 million now to you sons of bitches. 60 million, because you said he's the GOAT. La Liga have said he's the Brazilian GOAT of La Liga. You can't argue with that. You can't argue with it.
I was arguing that he was the worst signing that we've seen in the Prem before, yeah. But I think it's Rasmus now, bro. You know what I mean? I think it's Rasmus.
I said it months ago. Remember, I asked this on Straight Facts. I said we keep saying Anthony, but is it really Anthony or is it Rasmus?
I think that's revisionism. That's recency revisionism.
No, I don't think it's either of them. It's neither of them in the Premier League. It's neither of them.
Who's the worst in your?
Listen, I think.
Probably Kepa.
Look, I still think players like Bebe, right? They weren't as expensive, but do you know why I wouldn't put Anthony in it? As much as he's no good from Man United, this man scored multiple goals in 2 cup runs that won us trophies. So I'm someone, and this is why I won't put him into the category of the worst ever. You can argue pound for pound, potentially. That's definitely a fair argument. But I'm someone that looks at players' performances in title runs, cup runs, European football. How did they help you win it? Did they help you get to that stage? What big and important goals did they score? And I can't suddenly remove that logic for Anthony because he's not been good enough, as an example. And Rasmus, look, last season he scored 16 goals. Again, for the price we paid, you can argue. But then at the same time, we're probably going to pick up 40 to 50 million pounds for selling Anthony now. So when you start equaling it out, I just don't think it's the worst signing ever, personally. Maybe the worst Man United signing ever.
Who do you think is the worst Prem signing? For me, it's Rasmus.
Yeah, it could be. For me,
I think it's Kepa, bro.
Kepa's going to be up there.
If Terry wants to talk about trophies, this guy's helped us win trophies.
What trophy did he help you win?
What was it? What tournament was that? The Europa League. The Europa League. He was good on the penalties. He saved a lot of penalties there. Carabao Cup final. Did we win that final?
Do you know what? I think Mihailo Mudryk is, for the price he cost, barely scored a goal.
That needs a separate show.
Didn't help you win any trophies. I would put Mudryk above the two of them. Nah. Now, by the way, I want to be very clear for anyone clipping me up. I'm not suggesting that Rasmus and Anthony have been good signings, but we're now nitpicking between the worst. Anthony more expensive than Mudryk, but Anthony scored one of the most important goals of our season last year to equalize against Liverpool in a massive quarter-final as an example.
Barcelona.
He scored a goal that knocked Barcelona out of Europe, right? So for me, though, if we're going to look at moments, and you're a Chelsea fan, you can't discount moments. It's why you guys put Drogba so high on the pecking order for what he did in big games. I can't put Anthony or Rasmus, but definitely not Anthony, but above Mudryk on the worst signing list. Mihailo Mudryk.
I can.
Mihailo Mudryk has even had to cheat by taking performance-enhancing drugs. He was so bad.
You know why I can?
Because you're biased.
Complaining to you. The thing I kept complaining to you about.
It's because you love Mudryk. That's why.
No. The thing that I kept complaining to you. No, I'm fair on Mudryk. That's the difference between
you love him.
Yeah,
you love him.
A lot of people made up their mind. I'm fair on him, right? What I kept telling you is this guy is playing well at the minute, but he keeps getting stopped. He keeps getting dropped for Sterling, right? Whereas Anthony was literally getting played week after week after week after week and not doing much, bro. Yeah, that's the difference here. If Mudryk was getting played weekly and stinking, fair enough. My point with Mudryk has always been he hasn't been given the opportunities that he deserved.
Okay, so
shit example.
Oh, I disagree with you.
Hold on, no.
That's your excuse for everything, Don.
How's that an
That's your
excuse?
excuse. No, they don't play. They don't play.
How is that how is it an excuse? Hold on, Lawless. This is what you like to do. You like to just say buzzwords, bro. Yeah.
How is that a buzzword? I'm just
buzzwords. You like to say a lot of buzzwords.
It's not a buzzword.
Hold on. Anthony was literally playing, like I said, week in, week out. If I was seeing Mudryk playing week in, week out, stinking, I'll be a lot harsher on him.
When did you sign Mudryk?
Right?
When did Mudryk first join Chelsea?
He joined in 2023.
All right, so let's not hear you now. It's been 2 years. Let's not hear he hasn't been given a chance. We haven't said, no, we're not buying that. He's just shit, mate. He's not been a good signing.
No, but we're not buying it. Listen, I'm telling you what's happened to him during his time at the club, right? I'm telling you what's happened.
It's just your excuse for everything.
It's not an excuse, bro.
Chelsea have a great squad, but we don't play.
Just to give you some numbers, though. Just to give you some numbers, right? So Mudryk joined halfway through the 22-23 season. Okay, halfway through. Okay, and fair enough, Anthony has left halfway through this season. Anthony played 90 games for Man United. Mudryk played 73 for Chelsea. So there isn't a gargantuan difference in the amount of game time that either of them has had.
I'm pretty sure Anthony's had way more minutes than this guy, bro.
Potentially, but
Anthony,
game time.
Terry.
Okay, but you made it sound. But you have made it sound. But let me ask you this question then: What are these? Where have these moments come? What are the moments from Mudryk? What are the big moments that you? Hang on, let me finish the question. What are the big moments from Mykhailo Mudryk for the 60-70 million pound he cost, where he put you into the next round of cup competitions, where he won you massive games? When has he done that? What are the games in your view?
His biggest moment has come against Newcastle, bro. Man came off the bench, he scored, and sent us to fucking what was it? Penalty shootout against Newcastle. I think that sent us to the semis.
Did you win that tournament? Did you win that? Did you win that? Did you win that tournament?
We didn't win it, but he was one of the reasons why we got through.
Oh, wow.
He just asked me for a moment.
What a great signing. What a signing.
You know what I mean? I never said he's been a great signing. I think Mudryk for me has been a flop, right? I'm not arguing that he's been a great signing.
So what we doing?
What I'm saying is for me, Anthony's been an even bigger flop because this guy, the amount of opportunities I'll see man getting week after week, playing week after week. No. Mudryk never got that. Mudryk never got that at Chelsea, bro. He never.
No, like this is a mid-off.
There's a reason why he didn't get it done.
Anyway, let's move on. Anyway, let's move on, man. Yes, a mid-off.
Managers see these players. What you don't realize, Don, just to put an exclamation point is, managers, coaches see these players in training.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah. By the way, when you add the minutes up, it's the same difference, right? So Anthony has had more minutes. It works out 60. If you just divide the minutes by 90, it adds up to 60 games for Anthony. Mudryk comes out of 43 games. So there's only 17 game difference. So what I will say about your argument, hang on. But it is, hang on. What I would say about your argument is that the argument that he didn't get opportunities, you were talking about in terms of full 90 minutes, you're talking about 17 games difference. I don't think that's not the way you made it sound. Is like Anthony's played 150 games and Mudryk got 20 opportunities. That is when I would say your argument holds water. For me, again, we're having a proper mid-off here. I am not going to say Anthony's the worst signing ever when this man has helped us win major trophies since he's been here and been an integral part of those cup runs. Mudryk hasn't done that. So for me, Mudryk has to go above him in my personal opinion. If you want to
put Mudryk above him first, but for me, the worst Premier League signing I've seen personally is Rasmus Højlund, bruv. Yeah, that's the worst signing I've seen.
And it shows what your talent ID is like after research because you wanted him to replace Jackson a year ago. So
no, actually, no. In the summer, I told you this guy looks. No, Terry, don't do that.
Another
minute. Hold on, this is what I'm saying, Terry. You're shameless.
Don't give me. Don't do that.
You're shameless. Let me say what I actually said.
That first 2 to 3 months, your eye test, okay, Don Lusional's eye test said I would swap Rasmus for Jackson. I know you changed your mind later, but your eye test told you Rasmus was better than Jackson. Yes or no?
No, Terry. I said,
did you not say you would swap him?
In the summer, the first thing I told this guy, he's not letting me land because he knows what I told him. In the summer, I told this guy, because I even told my boy Lawless, big up Lawless, because he was like, Rasmus, I watched a couple Atalanta games. He looks good. I said, bro, I can't lie. When I've been watching like some of his games and that, or whatever, the clips and that you're showing me, This guy looks bare clunky. Like, I'm not being moved, right? And Terry was like, oh, I watched a bit of him on Wire Scout and that. That's what he said, yeah? Then when the season started, I was seeing Jackson missing, and I was actually seeing Rasmus looking like he could finish better than Jackson. And I said to you, Terry, I said, for me, I think Rasmus would finish more the chances than what Jackson's got right now. Yeah. I would swap them round. But then when I got to learn more about Rasmus' all-round game, I changed my take straight away.
Yes. Everything I've just said, when you first started watching him play, your eye test, watching everything, including the finishing, you said I would swap them. Then you changed your mind. I didn't lie. It's exactly what you said.
No, you missed out the first thing I said to you about how this guy looks clunky before he came.
That's irrelevant. You said
it's very relevant.
You said
it's very relevant. Bro, Haaland ain't the best. Bro, Haaland ain't the best. Haaland ain't the best on the ball, right? But I'm still taking him. You know what I mean? I was never bigging up Rasmus' all-round game.
But you are still taking all of that into consideration. You know
guy's movement, even his movement is pathetic, Terry. Yeah?
Well, the thing with Rasmus is, though, this is where he looks awful right now. If you go back and watch him last season, he didn't look this bad. He has regressed. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. So I understand people initially going, there could be a player in there. Equally, I think Rasmus will leave, go to a Napoli or someone like that. And I think he's going to end up looking really good. And they'll still, in a year's time, they'll be, do you think you should have let Rasmus go conversations? They'll be happening, I'm telling you. But he has been poor for United. This year says, love the show, guys. Keep up the amazing work. Wish Don can be my attorney, would get away with anything.
I like being fair. Big yourself up, man.
I met this guy in LA last summer.
You met him?
Yeah, he was at the United All-Star game. I think he's an All-Star fan.
He looks like someone that could actually pat your back, bruv. You know what I mean? He looks like a big brother. Big balls on that as well, blood.
He's right.
Thank you, Luke, for encouraging everyone to hit the like button. He doesn't play week in, week out because he sucks. I will say this, Don. You do this a lot. You're just like, oh, you know, I think these players are really good, but none of the last 3 managers we've had have ever given them any game time. What you seem to not ever want to consider, Don, is that maybe they are wank. And they're not. If 3 managers running and not playing them because they're shite.
I'm sorry, Terry. I was coming on here last season telling you Mudrik's had a good game. Many Chelsea fans were even saying at the time, this guy's had a good game. Before you know it, next game is getting dropped for Sterling again, right? And that guy would be stinking out the place. And all I used to hear is,
I understand that you see it that way, but is there not a possibility? Let's be objective here. Is there not a possibility that your eye test is wrong because sort of 3 managers running didn't fancy him, then he's had to take performance enhancing drugs to try and up his levels? Is there not a chance that maybe you didn't see it right, Don? A possibility that you're wrong?
I've already told you what this guy is, though, Terry. I've told you this guy's a squad player, right? That's what he is. He's not a starter. He's not a starter. Hey. But you're going on as if I'm talking about this guy like he's complete. Like, don't do that.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying that he should have been playing more last season, bro.
Yeah, I mean, 3 professional managers disagree.
Based on what? I've just given you an example, Lawless. Based on
and we're saying your eye test is broken. Specsavers.
Okay, right, do you know what? I hope Potter gets
3 managers done. 3.
Three. Potter's come to your club. Hold on. Potter's come to your club and made you even worse than Lopetegui. Yeah. Potter's come to your club, made you even worse than Lopetegui. That joke, man. Yeah. I hope
this is what he does. This is what he does.
You get
reflection.
I hope you get
You're Don flexing. 3 managers don't rate Mudryk, but you think he should be playing more. But these 3 different managers say no, Don. He should not.
And another thing, which is when he leaves Chelsea, right, and he ends up at a bang average club, and we never hear from him ever again, you're still gonna have Don in 20 years' time going, oh, just if he would have been given a chance, my White Scout eyes, oh, trust me, he'd be playing at Barca now. He'd be playing at Barca.
That's the difference between me and you lot, because I told you from day one, if this guy went to Arsenal, he would have been a much better player, right? Because you'd have been a better team, you'd have had a good coach, and for me, he would have started ahead of Martinelli quickly. Very clear why Arteta wanted that guy. Very clear.
Yeah, maybe. This here says Mudryk is the biggest flop ever. Havertz does more. He's definitely a bigger flop than Kai Havertz to Arsenal. There's no comparison in that one at all. He doesn't. Sorry, already done that super chat. Our worst signing is either Falcao or Sanchez. Yeah, Sanchez.
We didn't pay money for Sanchez. Falcao was wrong.
Sanchez again, depends how you view it, I suppose. Sanchez disappointed me more. Falcao disappointed me more than Anthony and Rasmus did, and that's because they came with such a big expectation, I think.
Falcao came off an ACL. Yeah. That was our fault. We took a risk on someone who just got an ACL.
I agree, but football was different back then. And what I mean by football was different back then, the way fans viewed it. We were all so more trusting of our football clubs and the decision making they did. I think the social media era of the game, the podcast, the people we've been able to speak to, the information, the access to information, I think has got greater. So we're all we now look back and we know we had bankers and accountants making those decisions. I just used to trust Man United back then to not sign someone whose knees were fucked. Like, we wouldn't have done that under Fergie. Does that make sense? Pep wouldn't do it now at City. FSG wouldn't do it with Liverpool, like a star signing whose knee's broken. Like, it was,
you not really are the graveyard, innit? You could actually make a top 5 Premier League of just United players, bro. Yeah? You know what I mean? I can list them.
I went to you the season after he didn't do shit. So.
Hang on, but we did an exercise a few days ago about your football club, and out of the £1 billion you've spent on players in the last 3 years, 77% are flops. The last 3 years, you've got an argument that you could have at least a full squad of Chelsea flops for Premier League era in the last 3 years, bruv. The amount of money you spent, listen to this, the amount of money you dropped, right, on Lavia, Fofana, Cucurella, Raheem Sterling, not Cucurella, sorry, Koulibaly, as I meant, right? Koulibaly, Sterling, what you spent on Lavia, what you spent on Fofana, to name a few, is, again, not all bad technical players, but bad injury records, etc. And didn't work. You, man, to sit here and point fingers.
What you spent on Sancho, what you spent on Pogba, what you spent on Di Maria.
But I'm not here.
What you spent on all these, man.
Lukaku, Don.
Don. This is the thing, though. This is where you're wrong. I'm not sitting here gloating like my club hasn't wasted £1 billion in the last decade. I condemn it. You're sitting here in a glass house with cracked windows, throwing stones about like, we could do a whole squad of Man United Premier League flop signings. So could you. This is a Spider-Man meme here. Why's up?
You've had the guys like Pogba that was literally on the verge of joining Real Madrid, right? But you had Di Maria. Di Maria in his fucking
club.
prime.
But you are in no position. You are in no position, Don, to point fingers on this. As a Chelsea fan, you should keep very quiet because you've done exactly the same thing, brother.
I'll continue because you know you're number one, Terry. You know you're number one.
I don't care. Sorry, Lawless. Sorry. I don't care if we're number one. Let us be number one. But you are in no position to point fingers. It's like the British government telling another country off for colonialism. That's what you're doing here, bruv. It's a madness. You can
crash on my club. You can crash on my club, but I just know I'm not number one in it. That's how I sleep at night. You know what I mean?
You're a close second. Even if you're not number one, you're a close second. You're in the mud.
Don't let me start crashing on you, bro. The last good striker you saw at your club was fucking Dean Ashton, bro. Relax. You know what I mean? Relax, bro.
Do you know what? I love how rattled I've got you. This guy's been in a group chat, putting fishing memes and you're gaslighting me. You're so rattled. This guy's head is gone. Look how rattled he is. He's starting going after talking about Dean Ashton and shit. Like, come on, like your head is gone, mate.
You know what's so funny, Lawless? Yesterday I was watching Premier League years, 2006. Yeah, when Chelsea won it. You know, United when the Glazers first came and that. And you lot had shambles of a start of the season, weren't you, that year? Right? And then Lawless, that was when you lot signed Dean Ashton, actually.
Do you know what I just realized that about that Falcao signing? Didn't Chelsea sign him after us?
That's what I just said. He went to Chelsea right after.
We did sign him. We did.
I caught his there. He got the cold
Fernando Torres, Eto, Morata, Enzo. You guys also.
Let me finish. Hold on. Let me respond back to that.
Bro, they got Higuain, Alexander Pato. You think I forgot that, Don? I remember all these guys.
Bro, look. No. Safi, hold on. You're so shameless because the other week in the group, he's smiling. He knows exactly what I'm about to say. The other week in the group, this guy knew what we were signing at that time. He was like, that was a problem with the recruitment because the guys that these guys were signing were rubbed out already, right? Pogba was not rubbed out already, yeah? Di Maria was not rubbed out already. Alexis Sanchez was one of the best wingers in the league, in the world, in fact, at the time, right? That's what you lot were signing. We were signing Torres on his way out, bro. Torres, before we signed this guy, was shit at Liverpool, bro. I remember signing him in January, 50 million. Back then, that was a lot of money. I was like, bro, like, why are we signing this guy? Like, if you've not seen how bad he's been recently, bro. Yeah.
Did you use the scout at that time?
Bro, I didn't have no white scout. I had Sky Sports. That's what I had. I used to watch the games. Ask any Liverpool fan. Torres before he left Liverpool.
That's a bigger indictment of your club.
I agree with you, Don. This is all I'm saying, right? There is no Man United fan who is going to sit here and point fingers at any other club for wasting money on players. But for you to do it, as I say, it's the equivalent of the British government telling other countries off for invading and colonialism and all those other things. It's just you have got no leg to stand on in this debate.
You're not got no shame. Terry, you know I'm shameless, though. You know
I know you're shameless. It's embarrassing, bruv. It's terrible. I wouldn't be surprised your mum walks in the minute and you just slap round the head for being so shameless. One of them ones there, bruv. Big lick across the head. A big lick. Do you know what you remind me of? Do you remember that meme where you almost, like, by talking about it, you bring the heat on yourself. You remember that thing of the woman, the female police officer, and she's trying to catch the guy out who's drunk, and she makes him do catwalks and dances, and he's going to get away with being driving drunk because he's actually managing to dance and stay on his feet. And then right at the end, he admits he's drunk by mistake. That's like, just reminding me what you did. It's like, you just brought the attention on yourself there. Viewers, make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace. Speaking of Chelsea, we may as well stay on them. A report came out today that from Simon Phillips, who stated that Man City and Liverpool have made an inquiry about a potential deal to sign Cole Palmer this summer. Are you a little concerned with some of the stories relating to Chelsea's sort of buy to sell model, that if City or Liverpool came in with big money, that you could lose Palmer this summer to a bigger club?
Nah, I'm not worried about that. You know, if you want to buy Cole Palmer right now, put 150 million on the table, bro. You know, then we can talk, right? Because this guy's locked in till the 2030s. So even if you wanted to leave, the club has all the control right now. All the control right now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and the thing about Clear Lake as well, Terry, as much as they like their profits and whatnot, their asset management company, when they love you and they fuck with you, they make you untouchable, bro. Right? There's many examples of that. You know, Colwell was one that they were saying is not for sale. I'm seeing a few reports again. Bayern Munich apparently looking at him. Again, it's been shut down, saying he's not for sale whatsoever. Andre Santos, another one they're saying is definitely not for sale. Last season, a couple clubs tried to buy him. We said no. Palmer, of course, he's not for sale. Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo. There's a couple men in this team that you can't touch them, right? Whereas the likes of Madueke's, you know, the likes of maybe even Jackson, I reckon, maybe. These are the sort of guys where they might be a little bit open to it, innit? You know what I mean? But again, if you want Cole Palmer right now, put the money on the table, then we'll talk. But you're not going to put that money on the table. You're not going to do it.
What if this side of things, Lawless? What if Chelsea's season ends in disappointment? Could Cole Palmer start looking and pushing for a move to get himself into a better side, a bigger club, a team that could legitimately challenge to win the Premier League or the Champions League next season? Because I get Chelsea won't want to sell him, but if a player starts to, could Palmer's head be turned in your opinion, Lawless?
Yeah, listen, they could have a 20-year contract, all they want, right? Like, at the end of the day, if the player really wants to leave and kicks up a fuss, it makes things difficult because then it disrupts the team. It causes problems in the dressing room, all of that stuff. You don't want a player that don't want to be there, especially one that hasn't been contributing in the level that you feel that he can and should be contributing. So Chelsea should potentially cash in. Like, I don't know what their finances are looking like in the summer, right? I don't know how many more hotels they've got, you know what I mean, on Mayfair and Park Lane and all of this. But at the end of the day, like, you know, if they have to sell, if they need to raise money, these players like Colwell, like, why is Colwell like an unsellable? Like, I just have to question Chelsea. Like, if they just got this just endless pot of money, they can just keep splashing. They don't need to sell players. Like Palmer. That's
so funny about you. Talk about recency bias, yeah, and then in the same breath, you're like, oh yeah, Palmer hasn't been playing great. That you know, hasn't been playing great lately. Sell it. Just get rid of him. You know, what I mean?
I'm not saying like what I'm saying is, if the price is right, listen, 150 mil is mad. Like if Liverpool say come in 100 mil, if say Liverpool come in 100 mil, and Chelsea don't have this bottomless pit of money and endless row of hotels, I think it's something that should be considered. I don't think that he should be listed as an unsellable superstar because at the end of the day, You don't know when or if he's going to get his form back. You don't know if he can be relied on season in, season out to be the guy. And you don't know if his stocks are going to keep falling. And you're not going to get that chance again to sell it.
Don't be ridiculous, man. As much as Palmer hasn't been as great as he was last season, Lawless, right? There's two things here. He's created a lot for people that keep missing, and him himself has missed a lot of big chances, right? That's something that he can fix, bro. That goes down to confidence. That goes down to, you know, making better decisions. That goes down to buying players like fucking strikers that can finish, right? Better box presence. These things will all help him, yeah? But if obviously Chelsea carry on in this way where we don't make Champions League, it carries on like this, of course he'll be more open to leaving. But right now, bro, it's way too early for that, man. The
there's a good chance. Let's be real, then. It's very likely that you're going to miss out on Champions League this season. It's looking very, very likely.
I don't know about very likely because everyone around us is as inconsistent as us. You know, I know we've got some tough fixtures and that. You're looking at it on paper, but everyone around us is inconsistent, bro. I
don't think that's true. You look at the results, yeah. Newcastle, they won like 5-6 in a row, got their first loss, I think, to Villa. Villa won like 5-6 in a row, got their first loss to I can't remember what the last game was, but they lost their last game. To Man City, that's it, yeah. Man City haven't lost in a while. Forest, a little bit more inconsistent, but more consistent than you. Like, out of all the teams in that race, Chelsea are by far the most inconsistent. So I think you should be very worried. And like I said, it's looking highly unlikely at this moment. You've got tough fixtures to come.
Yeah,
I mean, Everton at home, Liverpool at home.
Yeah, we've got Everton at home. We've got Everton at home, obviously, tomorrow. They're missing Tarkowski, bro. That's a big blow. I saw that he's played the most games without being dropped. 111 games or something like that. He's beat Van Dijk's record, right? I think Van Dijk's second. And yeah, he's a massive blow for them, bro, because he's sick in it, like in the air, in both boxes. He's definitely a threat. Defensively, again, he helps them with their low block and whatnot. So that's going to be a massive blow for them. But at the same time, Lawless, right? We need to beat James Tarkowski, yeah. We need to beat Newcastle away. We need to beat Newcastle away. And last game of the season, hopefully would have made it by then. But we need to beat Forest. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, right? I know, but like we know what you need to do, Don. But what you need to do and what you probably will do are two different things, and that's the thing. And like we've seen nothing from this Chelsea side in a while to give us any confidence or belief that you can do it and you can go and do it. We know your record against Everton is sketchy. Then you got in Liverpool. Then you got
Newcastle. How's it sketchy, bro? We've got like 6 wins or something like that out of our last 10 games.
I think. Well, I mean, overall, like, I mean, I don't know.
Now you're waffling again. It's away.
We've had this conversation before. Wait, this is what you do. You sit there.
We tend to beat Everton, bro.
Wait, before the last Everton game,
hang on, guys. So let's put this into context. So since December 2020, Chelsea have played Everton 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. They've won 3 of them, lost 3 of them. Sorry, they played them. 8 times. They've lost 3,
lost 3.
9 times since December 2020. From that season, in the last 5 seasons, sorry, I think of 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. In the last 9 games against them, in the last 5 seasons, it obviously that you've drawn 3, won 3, lost 3.
Yes, away. Goodison Park.
No, don't apologize. Right now, because you just said we tend to beat Everton in the last 10 games. We mostly beat them. You're waffling. Clearly, you're waffling. You only beat them 3 times.
Bro, I literally just said to you that Goodison Park is where we tend to struggle against Everton. Our record at Goodison Park ain't great. It's not great.
In the 4 home games, though, in those 5 seasons, it's 2 wins, 2 draws.
Yeah, we haven't lost. We haven't lost. You're making it out like we've lost against them. That's the point I was making.
You need to win, Don.
I know we need to win, Lawless, and we beat them last season. Hold on, Lawless. We beat them last season 6-0. Cole Palmer scored 4 goals. He scored a 30-minute hat-trick. He even scored from the halfway line.
This is not that Chelsea team. You ain't Cole Palmer.
You've only got 4 wins against Everton, home and away, since 2017.
That's what
Don't,
I'm saying.
I swear to God,
Crazy.
I apologize right now. Don't ever say I'm waffling again when I'm not waffling.
Lawless,
I was right.
you're not even let me land, bro.
No, because I don't want you to land until you apologize.
If you go read those losses, I promise you they're all at fucking Goodison Park, bro. Yeah.
So hang on. So this again, but he says sketchy record. He didn't say losses. So, I mean, the 4 wins you've had against them since 2017 have all 3 of them have been at Stamford Bridge. 1 of them was away at Goodison Park. But if we just look at your Stamford Bridge performances in that period, it's one draw. I'm going to add them up as I go along here. So 1 draw, a win, a draw, and the last game was a win, the big one, 6-0. So the last 5 home games against them, you've won 3 and drawn 2, and going into this one. So
that's the point I was making. Like when I say we tend to beat them, that is the point I was making, because I told you Goodison Park is where we struggle against them, bro.
Yeah, but don't you act like you're dominant? Goodison Park. No, they never said we're dominant. You're trying to change my words. You're trying to change my words, bro. Yeah. No, I'm not. Like I sat there and said you've got a sketchy record. You was like, no, you said you never. Wait, hold up.
Record away,
you never said, Don, let's rewind. You never said this, right? So when I said sketchy, you was like, sketchy record against Everton. We tend to beat Everton. You're just waffling. You never put the asterisk at home. And
I literally said that. You follow my point.
And
I
Don,
literally said that.
But your record against them at home isn't even dominant.
Mate.
Yeah, all right, cool. You can talk about it being dominant or whatever, but we haven't lost against them in the last 6 games at the Bridge, right? This time around, it needs to be in our last 7 games. It needs to be 4 wins, like Lawless, instead of 3. Yeah, it needs to be 4 wins and 3 draws, and that will make you happy. You know what I'm saying, right? Because last season we battered them 6-0. You know what I mean? You know about holding 5 at the Bridge, so I'm hoping we can do the same.
You're not that Chelsea anymore. That's dead. Forget that. You're living in the past.
But hold on, bro. You're going on like this. There isn't other guys in this team that can do something in front of goal and haven't been doing something in front of goal, bro. I'm not just depending on Cole Palmer, but I need him to rise.
This Everton game, we ain't looking at this as a clear Chelsea win. Like this is going to be a very difficult game for Chelsea, and after that, you've got more, even harder games. So my point is, you can sit there and tell us what you've done last season and all the goals you scored and how brilliant it was. This season, right now, you ain't doing it, Don. So it's very unlikely you're going to get Champions League. Okay? So
what happens if we beat them then? What happens if we beat them then?
What do you mean? What happens if you beat them? You get 3 points. You get 3 points. That's what happens.
You see what I'm saying? Right?
Let me just cut in for a minute here. On how you're playing, first of all, do you think you'll win this weekend?
Bro, listen, we need to be clinical like we was against Fulham.
No, that's not the question. Do you think, can you please give a straight answer, Don? Do you think you'll win this weekend?
Bro, if we're clinical, we'll beat them, innit? Simple as that.
Okay. Do you think you'll be clinical and beat them?
Bro, it's hard to say yes. It's hard to say yes, bro, because I've been seeing us missing. That's been our biggest problem right now, right? It's hard to say yes. Last week, hold on, Terry, bro. Last week, yeah, we fucking drew against Ipswich, whatever it was, yeah. And again, it was another problem where we just keep missing chances. We beat Fulham because once again we were clinical. We're gonna create against Everton. We just need to be clinical, bro. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing, Terry, ask me. Do you think United are gonna beat Bournemouth on the weekend?
Do you think Man United will beat Bournemouth this weekend, Staffy?
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like when I look at our recent results and how we've been playing, we're struggling really to score goals. I really don't trust Højlund. I don't trust Garnacho. I think we're gonna create, but I don't think they're gonna put the ball in the back of the net. So I'm gonna say no.
Can you ask me a question, Staffy? Can you ask me if Man United are gonna win the Premier League next year, please?
Terry, do you think United are gonna win the Premier League next year?
The thing is, right? It's hard to say yes, but you know, if we sign those 6 players and they all turn out to be world class. And they go to a level that nobody's expecting, and we just score an extra 30, 40 goals. We stop conceding. If all the other teams fall off, then that maybe, you know, I don't want to say yes, but if all those things happen, then yes, that's my, you know what I mean? That's not an answer.
Keep crying for an answer, man. Why do you not keep crying for an answer, man? You know what I mean?
Because it's that simple,
we want
Don.
you to be
Let me answer
be
it.
a man and give a straight answer.
Done. If you hold on, because I always hear you talking about the lack of finishing. You guys create. Surely at some point you've seen enough of a sample size where you think even if your team creates enough, there's about, let's say, hypothetically speaking, 10 games in a row where your finishing has been horrendous. You're picking up less points than you should have because you have no finishing. Surely expecting the 11th game to be the same as the 10 before it is not a horrendous take. Why can't you just say that? And if the opposite happens, you're going to be like, fair enough. I thought they were going to give you a finish.
Where were you the other week when I said,
I love you to bits, but you are so scared to be wrong. It's unbelievable.
Bro, it's not
you
about
don't
no.
want to say, yes, I think we'll win in case you don't. You want to say we'll win if we're clinical, because then if you don't win, you'll go, well, I wasn't wrong because I said if we weren't clinical, we wouldn't win. Be straight about it.
Hold on. I'm not scared to be wrong, bro. Yeah, when we fucking finished 12th, I was literally predicting losses week after week after week, right? I kept predicting losses. Before we played Spurs, just the other week, I told you, look, I don't think we're winning the game. And that's Tottenham, right? You know what I mean? So if you want your answer, no, I'm not confident with these guys in front of goal. Do I think we're going to win?
So why couldn't you say this earlier?
You know what I mean?
It's a prediction at the end.
I'm telling you how we need to win the game, Terry.
But you drive me crazy. You just said to me about how you've got this fucking amazing record at Stamford Bridge against Everton, yeah? And how I'm waffling in this, that, and the other. Now you're going into it saying you don't think you'll beat Everton at Stamford Bridge.
No, but the thing is though, Lawless, the reason why I'm saying that is because we have not been clinical, right? You're lot are trying to make it out as if Everton are coming here and we've got no chance to beat them. That's not what I'm saying. We've got every chance. Hold on. We've got every chance to beat them, and we should be beating them. We're more than capable of beating any team in this league, right? But do I think these are going to be clinical again? Do I think they're going to be clinical again? No, blood. You know what I mean? No. Let's see, innit? It's time to prove me wrong, right? It's time to prove me wrong. We're going to create again. We're going to create again, bro. You know what I'm saying? I've got no problem saying I'm wrong about stuff, bro. I've been wrong about many things. I'll just hold my hands
up. Why are you the way you are, Don? My God, you are hard.
Oh, listen, you asked me a question. We're analyzing the game, and I'm telling you how we need to beat Everton. You know what I mean?
Don, but that's all beautiful. If you say all that, like if you tell me what do you think you need to do to beat Bournemouth, I'll give you the perfect scenario to beat Bournemouth, and then you say, do you think that will happen? And I'll gladly say no. That is what you don't do. You tell us a scenario, and I believe you, and those are great analysis. But then when we ask you, do you think that's going to happen? You just don't. I don't know. If they do, if they put the ball in the back of the net, if they do this.
Don loves to leave it. Don loves to leave it. Like everything's open-ended. Everything's open-ended so that he can take it in which direction he wants at the end of it.
Those movies that are open-ended, they don't tell you what happens.
Don, we are from the same. We are from the same manner, and I know exactly how you're doing it because. That's so funny.
I get it. You know, I haven't got confidence in this team right now because start of the season when you was asking me, you're winning. I was like, yeah, we're winning that game, yeah. But now I'm telling you, bro, listen, I don't know, innit? That's how I feel, bro. I can't help how I feel because one game Chelsea just decided to turn up, another game Chelsea decided not to turn up. That's how I feel, bro. I can't help how I feel.
Do you know what? You're like someone here. Best analogy. Don is like a girl that can't decide what to eat. It's like, do you want to have a hamburger? No, I don't fancy a hamburger. What do you want to eat then? I don't mind anything. Do you want to get pizza? No, I don't want pizza. What do you want to eat then? I don't know anything. You pick anything. Do you want?
No, and then when Chinese? You pick for him, like Lawless just did, and be like, "Oh, you're gonna lose everything."
This is what will happen.
No. Who told you I wanted to eat there?
It'll come to Sunday. Sorry, tomorrow. I'll be on the match reaction, but yeah, Don didn't think they'd win. I didn't say that, did I? I said if we weren't clinical, we wouldn't win. Because that's what you do, bro.
Yeah, it's the truth, though, because I'll come back here, and you'll be like this. Chelsea won, Everton won, and once again, you know what I mean? That's what you're going to start doing. Once again.
Is that how Terry sounds?
That's how he talks, bro. You know what I mean? Chelsea won.
Yeah, that's my accent. I've got a Cockney accent. Yes, I'm proud of it.
That's what he's going to do. That's what he's going to do.
Hang on, but the thing is this. When you beat Fulham at the weekend, what did I start with? Wow, what a sensational comeback. What a brilliant performance. They were clinical. When you're good, I will praise the team for being good. When you sign excellent players, in my view, that they're excellent, I'll go, wow, what a signing that is. You play badly, I'll call it out. That's just normal, bro. That's just a normal thing to do.
If we don't win the game, I promise you now, Terry, if we do not win this game, it'll be down to missed chances again. It'll be down to fucking his chances again.
It will be. Yeah, I agree with you. If you don't win this game, I agree 100%. It'll be down to your quality and your squad not being good enough. I agree 110%.
Why do you never talk about your defense? Why is it all on chances? It's all on chances. It's never on your defense.
Because my defense is performing better than my attack right now, Lawless. That's why. So I'm gonna look at my attack first.
When you're conceding goals, that's mostly down to your defense, really, isn't it? Like,
so why is my defense the 4th best in the league if it's so bad?
Well, I'm just saying, if you don't win, say it's 1-1, you can't just say, I guarantee it's because of missed chances. Well, you've also conceded a goal, or it's 2-2 or whatever. Like, if you're conceding a goal, you also need to look at the defense as well.
I do need to look at the defense as well.
But I'm just saying,
regardless of that individual mistake against Ipswich or the howl of defending there, we don't draw that game if we fucking could bury our chances at the top. You know what I mean?
I know, but
our attack right now is worse than our defense. Our attack is worse than our defense right now, Lawrence. That's what you
I mean, look, your defense is decent. What I would say is that Bournemouth have conceded 40 goals. You, Bournemouth, and Everton are all on 40 goals conceded this season. But to put it into context, Man United are dog shit, and we've only conceded 46. Do you know what I mean? So it's not as I don't think like your numbers in terms of goals conceded is like amazing. Even like Arsenal and Liverpool that have very good defenses, I still think have probably conceded quite a few more goals this season than they would have liked to. I wouldn't even say in the Premier League, Liverpool and Arsenal's defenses have been brilliant. I don't think anyone's had a great defense this year. I think everyone's conceded probably too many goals. Let's go to somebody's super chat. Oh no, Ches. Oh, Ches.
Just texted me.
No. Ches is a toaster person. Oh, I didn't know Ches would be a toaster person. Terry, the project doesn't end in 2024. Stop this. 1, it's 2025. 2, Terry Fleur is asking questions as a host is not a statement. Oh, Chesney. I'm so disappointed in you, young man. I'm so disappointed. I don't actually think Cole Palmer will leave this summer. I think it would take another couple of years before his head gets turned. I think he's bought into Chelsea, but I have to ask questions as a host. It's part of my job. Oh, don't be a toaster person, Ches. I'm sorry that you got triggered by the question, Ches, and you got upset. I'm sorry, bro. DJ here says, under Clear Lake, we've got rightfully flogged weekly for being 12th, but Terry, the puppet master controlling the narrative, skips over L on L. I see you too. You mean for Man United? If you don't think Man United, DJ, have been cooked on this channel this season, have been ripped into this channel, ripped into in the group chats, you're mistaken, DJ. What I will say, DJ, is I never see you on any content that isn't about Chelsea or Arsenal. I only see you on those two. So you maybe should turn up a little bit more, my brother. Don's biggest defense, if argument, is not picking them. Yeah. Hold the L, Lawless. Chelsea haven't lost at home to Everton, is what it's most definitely.
Yeah, man, hold the L, man. You know,
I mean, that's as long as you don't lose on Saturday, Don. Okay, if you don't lose, it's all good, innit, Don? That's fine.
100%. Who have you got this weekend? Who have you got this weekend, bro?
We got Brighton.
You got Brighton. You're winning that game then.
Very important. I didn't remember seeing West Ham in the list of topics today.
West Ham, yeah, we never put West Ham on the agenda. There's no point. You know what I mean? No disrespect, yeah, no disrespect.
Very important going back to yard, yeah.
All this guy,
we're gonna put a revenge game.
He wants to talk about West Ham more than Chelsea. This guy is like he's boss D, yeah. All they want to talk about day in, day out, all day and night is West Ham.
Well, that's because Don is at heart a West Ham fan. Don grew up a West Ham fan. Facts.
True. Facts. That's what I mean. Like, I've got the chat to prove it. It's there. West Ham. That's all he says. That's all he talks about.
Bro, this is the same guy last season. Yeah, he was like, "Yo, if West Ham finish below Chelsea, sack Moyes now." That's what he said.
You would never forget that, will you? You'll never get over that.
I'll bring it. You want to keep bringing up this point?
Don's the same in the Football Terrace group chats as well. It'll be Chelsea playing, and they'll concede a bad goal, and the group chat will say, "Oh, what did you make of the defending, Don?" And the response is either it would have been better if this player was picked, or what about your club in 2008 when you did this role?
I don't do that. I don't do that.
You and your twin, and I imagine them sitting together, him and Ches. Like one in front of the other, like spooning, both holding the phone, messaging in the group chat at the same time. I've got this feeling. Do you know what I mean? I'll type it, you press send. It's very much like that with them two. I love it. But I will say, you and Chairs have rattled Giuseppe a lot the last couple of weeks. I've enjoyed watching that. I've enjoyed listening to that one. That's been hilarious. It's been hilarious. It's been hilarious. It's been hilarious. DJ's back again here, and with a slightly different flavour. And he says that somehow Chelsea get the smoke from 14th place Man United and 16th place West Ham. So just to address that, we are not gloating as though we're better than Chelsea. We are just asking, we're actually more cooking Don for not giving straight answers. That's not, Don not giving a straight answer is nothing to do with Chelsea directly. So Chelsea are struggling to make top four, but we're not sitting here going, haha, look at your crap team, look how brilliant we are. That's when your argument would hold water. I'm not going to sit here and say Chelsea need to improve their finishing if they want to make it into the top four. I'm not going to ignore that point of analysis just because my football club is rubbish. Why would I do that? That'd be a weird thing to do, my bro. Very weird thing to do.
You know what these comments remind me of?
If we call out Don and say, Don, you said you had a better squad than Arsenal and Chelsea, that was ridiculous. That's not us saying our squad is better than Chelsea's.
Yeah, I know.
But you know what these comments are like, Lawless? You know the my body, my choice movement? Like, you can't have an opinion because if you're not a female, you can't have an opinion. Just because I'm not a Chelsea fan, that doesn't mean that I can't have an opinion on Chelsea. Yeah. I have an opinion. You can ask me what a cat is. Just because I'm a human being and I'm not a cat, it doesn't mean I can't tell you what a cat is or what a cat does.
Yeah, that cat.
What do you mean I can't talk about Chelsea?
My dog looks a little bit sad at the moment. How do you know? You ain't got a
tail.
Are
you a dog?
You're not a dog. Do you know what I mean?
Bro,
I think he's sad. He's not great.
It's such a weak argument when you can't.
It is the worst use of funds I've ever seen on YouTube. I'll tell you that. I've seen so many bad super chats over that. The worst use of funds you can ever do is super chat on a show telling someone who supports an opposing team that they have no opinion on your team because they're doing bad. I'm here as representing myself. I'm not hired by the Glazers. I'm not hired by Ineos. I definitely am not hired by anything that's United related. I'm just here to talk football.
I tell you why. DJ spent his money well.
I think what DJ's trying to do is trying to remind Terry that Terry thought that his squad wasn't too far from Chelsea's. And
it's fine. But I've already admitted that I was wrong about that in particular areas. Plus, then we've had the changeover and everything else. But however, there's nothing I've said about Chelsea that I'm not using my club to beat Chelsea over the head with. I'm not using Chelsea as a shadow from my own club because I talk about it, I rip into us, I speak about the things that we're doing badly, the things that we've done wrong. I criticize it. I'm not hiding and pretending. I'm also not gloating at Chelsea. If you can find footage of me, barring bantering a Chelsea fan who I'm friends with, like Don or like Chairs or Jem, that's different. That's friends having fun. Find where I'm gloating at Chelsea's season not being as good as they thought it would have been 4 months ago. That's where it would be wrong, DJ. But I'm not gloating by asking a question based on a very credible Chelsea source in Simon Phillips that big clubs are circling for Palmer. Me asking a question about that is not gloating about your football club. It's just because your team's doing badly and you're angry. You're projecting that anger onto me as opposed to just answering the question. Because if you guys were winning the Premier League this year and Real Madrid were looking at Palmer and I asked a question and I've been praising Chelsea because you're best in England, none of you would have a problem with the question. It's only because of how you feel about your football club. 110%. We see that all the time. Don is like those modern day prophets who say this and that is going to happen if we do this and we do that. Then when the opposite comes true, they say, oh, I predicted it was going to happen. Two-sided.
Not even. I just know my team very well. And I know my team right now is very wasteful in front of goal. That's what it is.
Sorry.
We're unpredictable. Terry, the perfect thing to say about Chelsea right now, we are very unpredictable. Very, very unpredictable, bro. I did not expect.
No, we can predict you're going to waste chances. That's predictable.
Last week to fucking score and fucking Tariq George, bro, to fucking score. You know what I mean?
Done.
Actually, I did predict Tariq George to score actually before he came off.
Yeah, he says here, when Chelsea fans bring up Simon Phillips to support their arguments, you refuse to acknowledge it. But that isn't true. I personally know Simon Phillips. I know how credible he is. I've helped get in some work before with some publications. I know how good he is. So for me, but what I don't do is disregard the other side of the conversation. I'm open-minded. So for instance, Ornstein has said it's unlikely, it's not on the agenda that United get Osimhen. I believe that to a large extent. It doesn't mean I'm going to say that every other journalist who said we might want him, that it could become alive. I'm not going to disregard them all as liars. So again, Decay, I love you, bro. You super chat a lot as well, and I respect it. But I never play down what Simon Phillips says. I've never played down what he said as being a lie or bullshit or not listened to. Absolute fabrication from yourself there, my friend. As I say, I haven't met him in person, but we've had video calls. I've spoken to Simon Phillips a fair bit. I know him well, so I wouldn't do that, my friend. Appreciate it. Unless you can't read, Staffy, I never said United fans can't hammer Chelsea. It's just why aren't United hammered regularly on this show? Lol, it's simple to understand. But let's not pretend that I haven't exploded on this show. Just 2 weeks ago, when Lawless said, do you think you could actually get rid of Onana? And I did my nut. That literally happened 2 weeks ago, DJ, but you weren't here. You didn't watch it. You come on, my man. Let's not pretend that Man United have not been cooked on the football terrace by and large. Come on now.
DJ is worrying about me not reading when he clearly can't see, can't hear, and can't feel, because all season United have been cooked all over social media, all over YouTube. At some point, maybe the cooking died out because people just accepted that 15 defeats in, mocking United for their 15th defeat isn't as good as the first 10.
And there'll be much more talk about Chelsea. There's going to be more talk about Chelsea, DJ, in the next 5 weeks than Man United. I'll tell you why. Man United's Premier League season's over. No one, even people that want to banter, when Man United and Spurs lose more Premier League games now, it ain't really hitting people in the same way. Chelsea are still in a race for something, so they'll be more focused. That's going to happen. However, Man United go out of the Europa... Actually, no, I was about to say, if Man United go out of the Europa League and Chelsea go out of the Conference League, Chelsea going out of the Conference League will get a bigger reaction simply because it's an easier tournament. But if Man United get beat up by Bilbao, we will be ridiculed because it's an important game. We know that's going to happen.
And you've got to separate us cooking Don from cooking Chelsea, right?
Yes,
I don't think on this show we've really cooked Chelsea and got into Chelsea.
I didn't even cook Chelsea today.
No,
I didn't even say nothing.
I haven't said anything about Chelsea that's bad. I literally don't agree that Palmer will leave. I haven't given an opinion on how they're going to do against Everton. I haven't said anything.
I think he sent that when you were cooking Mudryk. That's the only thing.
Well, but what I've said about Mudryk's true. He's been an absolutely horrendous signing. And
yeah, but that started from Don talking about Anthony and Højlund.
And the only thing, and I literally said they're all shit. They're all crap sidings. I have to be
shit than the other.
All I've said is I have to be consistent with how I rate players, and scoring goals in cup runs and big goals that lead to winning trophies. There's value, tangible value in that. So there we go. Who are the top 5 players for each of you that you will never ever rate, despite everybody rating them? Luis Suarez, straight away. Luis Suarez, just Luis Suarez, and then again Luis Suarez.
Yeah, but that's not football related though.
It is football related. He did it on the football pitch.
But it's not football ability.
But everything I dislike about Suarez, he did on the football pitch.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that in a vacuum. If you just rate him based on what he does as a footballer,
but there's got to be a reason that you don't rate someone.
Yeah, but like you're not telling me, oh, he's a bad finisher. He's a bad.
No, he's very good. But what he did, I think he should be ostracized from all these conversations. I still can't believe he's been so forgiven.
I know who's Don's. It's Rice, and don't even try to tell me. He talks about Rice way too much, bro.
I don't rate Rice in the 8 like that. There's your answer. I rate Rice as a 6. That's what I rate him at.
How about you, Lawless?
Off the top of my head, it would be Romero. People are finally starting to come and wake up about Romero.
Great shout.
But I've been saying it for years, and you can ask other Spurs people I've been on. I was like, mate, I don't see the player that you see when they used to hype him up and everyone say great. Now it seems people are coming over on the Romero thing. So that's me.
You know who's mine, bro? And this is gonna piss off a lot of people. Pedro, the guy that played for Chelsea.
I can understand that.
I'll tell you why though. Go watch all his great goals. He used to piss me off, his goals. He never looks at the goal. He always closes his eyes and he looks downwards. And then he hits the ball and he scores a worldie. He used to piss the shit out of me. Because I'd be like, you're not looking at the ball and you're not looking at the target.
Piss the shit out of you?
Like, he just pisses me off.
No, I know, but I've never heard that phrase before. He used to piss the shit out of me. What?
Whatever.
What is this?
Sorry.
What is this
It just used to
phrase?
piss me off, is what I'm
I've
trying to
never heard that before. Sorry.
Someone here says, will Terry will rate Giggs. Hey, look, Giggs did some mad stuff off the football pitch, but he didn't do anything illegal, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Like what he did with his brother's wife is horrendous. But I'm not like
Well,
again.
no, there was the court order, wasn't it? There was the.
Yeah, but he
legal-
didn't get. It was he won the court case. So I'm not gonna. I weren't there in the room, right? All I can rely on is what comes out of the court case, and he wasn't convicted. So I can't condemn someone for something they were found innocent of or not guilty of. Does that make sense? Like I can't. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I can't do that. If it was proven he did it, then we'd have had that conversation, but it wasn't. And there was some mad stuff in that conversation as well. I actually followed that very closely, and there was some mad stuff in terms of that went on. The mad stuff, and some of the lies were crazy. But now Ryan Giggs did some horrible stuff, like cheating on cheating with his brother's wife and stuff. But I don't put that in the same ballpark as racially abusing someone. I'm sorry. I think if you're looking at moral standings, I think racially abusing someone 5 times in a football match about the skin color, it's not even on the same planet as someone having an affair on it just isn't.
Is there a player that you don't rate though for like football reasons?
Yeah, outside of Suarez, I want a real one.
Outside
like, someone that you're like, you know what? He's not as good as people think he is.
You can think it's a tough one on the spot. It's hard to think, but
no, I'm just trying to think of someone that I want to pick someone that I know is good, but maybe I find them a little bit overrated, and I just think people go on about them a little bit too much. They're not as good as everybody makes them out to be. It's a hard one because I never really think about this type of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's on the spot. It's tough if you sat down and really. Geez, people are pulling out Salah, Gerrard.
I used to think Ramos was overrated.
I think no, not them. I just don't. It's a hard one. Who don't make me feel something when I watch them play, and it's like meh. I don't know, I don't really because I don't really think in those terms, and that sounds weird, but I don't look at football in that way. I don't know. I just rate them as good. And he's a good player. I've always been able to go. I hate Gerrard, but I know he's brilliant. Does that make sense? I hated Drogba, but I know he's great. I don't think. Yeah, I just can't rate you.
The better question would have been who's overrated. Like who's overrated?
Yeah, that's what it was saying. Yeah.
Well, look, people will say Zaha to me. I never had an issue with Zaha. What I had an issue with was people overrating him. When people used to tell me this guy is one of the best wingers in the Prem, one of the best in Europe, he should be playing at the biggest and the best teams, I always thought it was a level below that. And what I used to look at was he tackles himself too regularly. He used to step on the ball too much, and he's just too regularly to be the level that everybody says he was. But he was a proper Prem player, excellent footballer. It was just I thought he was well overrated. So Zaha's a really, really good example there.
Rice is overrated. A glorified Lee Catamol. Wow.
Crazy.
I'll buy that. I'll go with that.
Terry got a 4-match ban for racial abuse, by the way. Yeah, I mean, but what
John Terry, not this Terry.
Yeah, I did. I did not do what John Terry did. Yeah, look, John Terry, it was vile what he did. Absolutely vile. But I'm not out there propping him up, am I? I don't know why that's an example for me. Thoughts on UEFA getting rid of extra time in the Champions League?
Wait, they've done that?
They're exploring that, and they're looking to add all the teams that finish in the top 8 in the league section will be at home for the guaranteed home for the second leg, which I love that rule change because I love the way this league system works in Europe because I think it encourages teams to win more games. If the top 8 are guaranteed the second leg at home as well, I think it's going to make the league phase even more important. Every goal is going to matter then because you could finish like 9th and miss out on goal difference. And then you're going to have to play away. No matter what, you'll be playing away in all your second leg. So, yeah, I love that. The extra time thing, I kind of get it because there's so much football. And I think they want to help a little bit. And most extra times are not like Man United's. Most extra times are boring. They really are boring. So I do get it.
By the way, they should have the whole away game. It has to be throughout the whole campaign unless you're knocked out. That's how they do it in the NBA. And that's basically what they're copying. In the NBA, if you finish first, you're guaranteed. If you go up all the way into the conference final, you're guaranteed to always get home advantage. That should be the thing in the Champions League, because I swear
Yeah,
Arsenal only got home
yeah.
advantage against PSV, and then
and a few teams went through that. It's actually crazy. They finished higher than teams like
Madrid.
But Real Madrid would never have been given home advantage after coming into the playoff
100%.
areas. Yeah, it's crazy. Shouldn't have,
they should be allowed to get home advantage all the way up to the final if they get it, because that's what happens in the NBA.
I think Arsenal playing at home first that gave Arsenal the advantage. I think it would have been different if it was the other way around.
Yeah, I guess that's fine. I'm just saying you have to award people for finishing higher, because I'll tell you what. Let's say it's the last game day. You have 3 teams tied up for like first place. Instead of them benching their players and playing the bench, you give them a reason to play, because now if you get first, you know now all the way up until the final, if you're still in the competition, you're always going to get to play the second game.
Most of the time, we would all probably say we want to be home for second legs. Most people do, because that way, because most games, as long as you keep the first leg, you're in. Like if Man United are against Bilbao, if we get a win, of course we'll be the favourites then. But if we can get a draw or even a narrow defeat, a 1-0, a 2-1, grab a 2-2, 1-1, I'll be really confident potentially that we can knock them out. But when you've got the away leg second, if you draw 1-1 at home or something, going away for that second leg is so much harder. So
I think that's the perfect way to go into the game next week, man, because that's what's going to happen with these Gooners. They're playing at home first.
Yeah, maybe that helps Arsenal this season, to be fair, because they can.
Oh, this time it helps Arsenal, doesn't it?
Do you think Arsenal are going to get beat by PSG, Don?
I think it's going to be a tight game. In all honesty, I think they're coming up against his stuff. He done it again.
Do you think they're gonna be I think it's gonna be a tight game.
I think it's a tight game, bro. Listen, it's hard. I'm actually gonna go for a draw. I'm thinking more. I'm leaning more towards a draw, Terry. I'm leaning more towards a draw, man. I don't know. There's something in me that's just been telling me a draw for that game. Are we previewing it now, by the way? Are we previewing it?
We've naturally segued, so it will naturally segue into it. You say draw. What's your overarching thoughts on like the tie, the 2 legs? So you think a draw at the Emirates? Do you see Arsenal going out, or do you see a world where they knock out PSG?
Yeah, I think for me this time around, I can see PSG beating these guys, man. I think their front 3 has a lot more cohesion than Real Madrid's. Their midfield is better than Real Madrid's. Their defense, ain't the greatest, but again, they're just better as a team. You know what I'm saying? So they just got to make sure they don't give these lot any free kicks. Don't concede any goals from any set pieces as well. Because even if they lose that game, you just got to make sure you keep it tight. Because when they go away back to PSG, bro, to Paris, those fans don't play around. You know what I mean? And you saw William the other day getting nervous. I'm seeing 2 mistakes in a week now. You know what I'm saying? So I need him to feel uncomfortable when he goes back to Paris.
You call him William?
William. I call him William. It's because one of my boys is French and his dad's called William. Minutes. I always take the piss like that. But William Saliba, right? That's what I kind of see, Terry. I think it's going to be a draw, man. I think we'll probably be a draw in the Emirates, and I think PSG will probably beat them at home. That's how I'm kind of looking at it.
What are you saying, Lawless? I'm gonna go last.
I'm gonna listen. I would just say
go first on Arsenal. That's your favorite.
Nothing short of a emphatic, dominating, resounding Arsenal win. Of course, like I have to say that Arsenal. Listen, that's what you gotta say. That's what they want. That's what they want to hear. That's what they expect. Arsenal will slap PSG home and away.
Now, come on, tell us what you actually
all the way and win the UCL. Come on, you Arsenals! Yeah, that's what they want.
All right, I want
to hear that.
That's what they want to hear. And if they don't hear it, they will go mad. And I bet you, if I predict Arsenal to win and they lose, they won't be coming for me going, you was talking shit. You don't know what you're talking about. You predicted us to win and we lost. They won't do that, will they? No. But yeah, I can see what I can see.
Why are you so angry, Lawless? Why are you so angry?
Do you know what? I'm not nice. I don't know this. I'm bemused by it, but I feel like it's a good chance to get my listen. It works both ways. Listen, we take the hits, we give the hits. That's fine. But listen, I in all honesty, I can see it like Don said, a draw at home. I can see that being the case. Both teams can score goals. Obviously, people talking about the strength of Arsenal's defense, which is going to help them out. But it's just a matter of, have they got enough goals to outscore PSG? Do you know what I mean? So, but Arsenal, brilliant, amazing, sensational, right?
And that's what I'm saying, Terry. Like, for me, that's what I mean. Like, going back to the first leg, cool. Declan Rice, world-class free kicks. I hear it. But before then, I know Saka created some good chances in the box and that. I wasn't seeing Courtois getting pammed until after they scored the goals, right? And that's where, for me, in open play, I'm still yet to be convinced about their attack. I need to see it, bro. I need to see it to believe it. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a draw in the Emirates, man. Whether it's 2-2, 1-1, I think it'll probably be a draw then. If PSG take at least a draw, maybe even a W, back to their place, that's when I think Arsenal will probably get knocked out.
I disagree with you guys. I actually think Arsenal are going to win this, and it's a matter of how many goals they win by. I think it's a good matchup. I originally said I think Arsenal could beat Madrid, but I think they'd lose to PSG. But I think the last round of games just show me things that I didn't know about both teams. Arsenal were the only team to win both games going into the semifinals. So they're the only team between every team that qualified that actually didn't lose. Or actually, no, just won both of them because Inter didn't lose. And PSG, they showed me they have a little bit of a glass jaw. They lost earlier in the season to Arsenal. Fair enough, it wasn't really the same team, and I keep saying that. Kvaratskhelia wasn't there. Ousmane Dembele, I think he's having a Salah-esque season. He has the most GNA for his team, and he's leading the charts in chances created in PSG. So he wasn't there as well. So he's going to be a massive difference going into this game. They lost to Liverpool when no one thought, honestly, everyone thought PSG should have won like 5-0, and they ended up losing 1-0. And then they lost last game to Villa. And I'll be honest, if Cunha was like 2 inches earlier on his run, he would have headed that ball in the back of the net from that Rashford cross. There was enough chances. They had the clearance from the Ecuadorian player. I keep forgetting his name. Donnarumma had to have the game of his life to keep him in it. They showed me that they can be a little bit complacent sometimes. They're not as clinical, and their defense can be got at. And one thing Arsenal has over them, and no one can debate this, is physicality. Arsenal is a very physical team. Arsenal are a very strong team. And I've seen them right now. Yes, I don't think Madrid is as good as PSG, even though we all hyped up Madrid. But realistically, when you watch them, PSG have been way better than them this season. They've been the better coach team this season, so it won't be the exact same. I just feel like this Arsenal team at home, there's something magical going on there anyways, and they're just going to turn up. Now, am I completely ruling out PSG from winning? No. I wouldn't be surprised if either one of them won. Like, I wouldn't be sitting here saying, oh my God, what a shock. I just think Arsenal are going to be good at home. The way Marino's scoring goals, and he's not even a striker, the whole team pretty much looked good over the last 2 legs against Madrid, except for maybe Odegaard. And maybe it's a good time for him to step up. Partey is probably the only thing that would worry me a little bit, because I do keep saying, as much as I praised Rice for his progression over the last year, I do think he really needs Partey to hold his hand. And that's not a bad thing, by the way. It's all about partnerships at the end of the day. And it's all about having the right chemistry and the right balance. I think Partey is their best midfielder, regardless of Rice having a good season or not, because I just think he brings so much in terms of bringing that ball up into their half. His passing range. He makes up for a lot of what Declan Rice doesn't have. So it's just going to be very interesting to see who steps in that 6th position, because I don't think he should be in the 6. I think maybe he has to put Lewis Skelly in there or something, but that's going to be my only worry. But it's going to be a good game, and I do think Arsenal are going to win. I think it's going to be a good game of football in general. But Arsenal at home, I got to give them the edge.
CJ here says, we scored 3 goals in open play against Real Madrid. Don is clueless.
Yeah, but the point that I'm making is in that first leg, again, you create some good chances from Saka, but I wasn't seeing Courtois being worked before the free kicks went in. In the first leg, bro.
What are you talking about? Courtois was getting peppered.
Bro, he was getting peppered after the goals went in. It wasn't getting peppered.
Doesn't matter when. The game was still on the line. It wasn't even 3-0.
Hold on. What do you mean it doesn't matter when? I'm breaking down the game. What happened before the free kicks and what happened after the free kicks, right? Away from home, fair enough. They got them on the break. They were clinical. Cool, fair enough. But this is against PSG where you're playing at home. You're not going to be sitting back for this game. You're going to have to attack them. Right, and like I keep saying, bro, this creativity issue that
Arsenal didn't attack Madrid in the first game.
In the first game, of course they did. They were at home.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying in the first leg at home, they're gonna have to attack these guys rather than soak up the pressure like what they did away from home, right? And like I said, I'm still yet to be overly convinced about Arsenal's creativity. Yeah, Arsenal have got a creativity problem, bro. You know what I mean? So if they score, you know, if they create a lot of chances in open play and they score goals, fair enough, I'll be proven wrong. But I'm not going to sit here and be, you know, overly confident about Arsenal in open play. Do you know what I mean? That's why for me, I'm saying it's a draw. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, if anything.
Are you a little worried about one thing, Don? Are you worried about one thing? What happens to your Rice agenda if he has two similar games in the semi-finals to what he did? I'm not saying the free kicks, because even if he scores another free kick, I very much doubt he's going to do two in a row like that again. But if he performs to the level that he did from an attacking sense, a creative sense, a goal-scoring sense, and defensively, if he does that again, is that it? Will you finally drop your Rice agenda and admit you don't like him, but that he is top class? Are you worried that you might be forcing him to do that?
What are we doing here? What are we doing here? When this guy was at West Ham, I was literally saying he's on the verge of becoming world class. Now you lot are getting annoyed.
That's because you thought he was joining Chelsea.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't think he was joining Chelsea.
Same as you don't rate Garnacho, but when you said he was joining Chelsea, you came on and did the whole. I've been on Y Scout watching Garnacho, and actually,
this has got nothing. See how you twist things. You see how you twist things, bro. This has got nothing to do with Chelsea. This has got nothing to do with Chelsea, right? This has got to do with me not fucking with Rice as an 8, right? The position he played last week was perfect. It was perfect, bro. Where he's not just staying in the attacking midfielder role. He's mainly playing as the 6, and he's got the license to go.
He plays box to box when Partey's in the team.
Go watch his performance against Palace, bro. He was mainly playing as an attacking midfielder.
But that's because Palace absorb again. That's because if you're a box to box midfielder, but you're up against a team where you've got say 60% of the ball, 70% of the ball, and you're the aggressor. Of course, as a box to box, you're going to attack more in that game than you defend because you're not being attacked as much.
Yeah, but Terry, you're missing the point here, though. 90% of the teams Arsenal play, right? Rice is playing in the advanced position because they mainly play against low blocks, right? Yeah. They mainly play against low blocks. When they played against West Ham, they took my man off, bro, because I was struggling to create. Right, he come off and kicking things.
But he's not going to be. Listen, you had.
Hold on, Terry. Let's just.
That's a nonsense example, Don, because you had one of the greatest goal-scoring midfield players in the history of football. But I saw Frank Lampard have games where he drew a blank. Yes, you can find an example where Rice was taken off because he wasn't having a good game. That doesn't undo his overarching. I've seen R9 have shit games, Messi have shit games, and I'm picking them because they're the best.
Can I just say something?
The best.
Why does it hurt you, man, so much? Why do you need my validation so badly if I don't fuck with this guy in the 8?
Well, listen, it's not,
I don't get it.
I'll tell you something. We have you on the Football Terrace to give footballing opinions, so we challenge your football opinions. It's not about.
It's like you don't want me to change my take.
Hang on. It's not about changing your take and valid. I don't need any validation from you. I'm just asking. Will your opinion change if he performs against PSG over 2 legs like he did against Real Madrid? Will you just drop the agenda and say, you know what, objectively speaking, the man's brilliant, I'm leaving him alone?
Bro, listen, yeah, I might do that. You know what I mean? But you already know I'm shameless. Bro. But anyway, I gave this guy his flowers for the performance in the second leg. For me, that was even much better than the first leg. Right? Much better than the first leg.
Yeah, no, I thought he was phenomenal. He really, really was. We're going to come back to these super chats in a moment. I wanted to ask you guys again. There's going to be a big. They're not obviously up against each other literally, but you've got Dembele, you have Saka. How do you think they're both going to perform over these next couple of games? Because Saka obviously did very well against Real Madrid after returning. Do you think Saka could come out on top in these battles, or could it be the Dembele's, or maybe somebody else in the PSG team, Kvaratskhelia, Barcola? Could it be someone else, or do you think Saka could rise to the top again like he did against Real Madrid? How do you see it going? I'll go to Staffy first on this. You're muted, brother.
Oh, do you guys hear me?
Yeah, can now.
Apologies. I'm saying Saka has to now pass the test that Mo Salah couldn't pass, which is Nuno Mensch.
Yeah.
Nuno Mensch locked him up in the.
Nuno who? Mendes.
Well, it's really Nuno Mensch, but yeah, Nuno Mendes.
Sorry.
That's my Portuguese in me. Anyways.
You don't go Terry You don't go Terry when you say my name. You say it with an American accent. You don't. You don't.
I don't know, bro. Nuno Mensch just sounded sophisticated. Like I know what I'm talking about. Just allow me. Nuno Mensch.
Sorry, no, go on. It's actually Bruno Fernandes, isn't it? It's Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
Why don't you call him Fernandes then, Staffy? Why are you picking and choosing these?
He hates Bruno. He hates Man United. He's a fake fan.
Oh.
Can I just get to my analysis without being distracted?
Back to you, brother. Back to you, brother. Back to you, brother.
Debating why. Okay, bro. I'm gonna start pronouncing everything with a proper accent. Anyways, Nuno Mendes. There we go. He's gonna be a tough test for him. So we're gonna see if he could do what Salah couldn't do. The two fullbacks PSG use. Listen, they tend to go a little bit higher. They get into the box a lot, actually. I think it was the last game both of them scored against Villa. I think it was the Villa game. So that might be actually something for Saka to exploit, because now you're going against a fullback who he's good one-on-one, at least this season from what I'm seeing. But is there going to be instances where he's out of position and you can punish him for that? Or is Luis Enrique going to have him play a little bit more deeper and focus on his defensive work more than going forward? I don't know. But that's going to be a matchup to look at. If you're asking me who's better, I have to be honest, and I have to go by this season. First of all, both of them have been brilliant. I've came out here, by the way, and I gave Saka praises. I think it was last week. And I said Saka now is in different conversations after the way he did against Madrid, especially the goal he scored in the Bernabeu. And I was like, he graduated from certain conversations. So I put him in a higher, he's ranked higher in my eyes, at least right now. However, if we're being honest, based on this season, Ousmane Dembele has been better. His numbers say it. The fact that, to be fair, the fact that Saka was also injured has to play a part. Like, I have to be honest and say,
yes.
In the 2024-2025 season, Ousmane Dembele is having a better season than Saka. The injury wasn't really Saka's fault, but also that still works in Dembele's benefit because he played more. He's put up better numbers. He's the main goal scorer in his team. He has 10 G&A in 12 games in the Champions League, and he's their main creator. Everything revolves around him in the front line. I know they got Kvaratskhelia, I know they got Doué, I know they got Barcola, but he's the better player this season in the front three. The fact, and I feel like people don't give him enough credit for this, this team got rid of Mbappe, and this guy stepped up, and he's been the focal point and the main guy in a better version than what we see in PSG under Mbappe. That has to count for something. That has to be some credit, because I'll tell you what, if Saka was in that team and Mbappe left and he started shining this way, everyone would be praising Saka. So we have to be honest about what we're watching this season. This season, Dembele, I believe, is having a better season than Saka. Both are brilliant, but I'm going for Dembele.
Yep, I agree. I don't think there's any more to add to that, really. I think Saka was having a good season before he got injured. I was bigging him up. You know, these gooners, they like to just hear the criticism. They don't like to hear the praise. They just come straight to you. They want to just hear you slobbing man off, right? Put big pause on that as well, right? But listen, Saka's been playing well this season.
Crazy.
That's what they want to hear, Staffy. They just want to hear you just slap them off, and not give any criticism whatsoever. I like you fucking been here before, blood. Yeah. But anyway, like I said, Saka's been good this season, innit? So let's see if he rises against Mendes, because last time, you know, Mendes didn't have the greatest game against him, but he's been good this season overall. So that's going to be a tough battle. It's going to be harder than Alaba, who, funny enough, got injured the other day, came off the pitch. And then Camavinga came off the bench for him, and he got injured as well.
Yeah. No, listen, I think Saka's gonna have a great game. He seems to be excited to be back. He seems to be hungry. I think it's probably tough sitting on the sidelines watching your team from the side, obviously falling away from the title race even more, knowing you can't impact it. So yeah, I expect him to step up in a big way. But yeah, like Staffy said, Dembele class. So I think it'll be an entertaining game either way, like on both ends.
I agree. It's gonna be brilliant. I think Dembele's had a fantastic season. I'm so intrigued by this game because they've already played at the Emirates once this year, and Arsenal were superior. Arsenal won 2-0, and PSG didn't lay a glove. Now I've been one of PSG's biggest advocates this last 2 or 3 months when they were up against. Before they played City in the group phase, when they went up against Liverpool, a lot of people were just kind of referring back to the Arsenal game, saying they're not very good. And I sometimes by quirk of fate, I just ended up watching quite a few of their league games, and you could see in the Champions League this season an The word's gone out of my head. Exponential. That's not the word, is it? Exponential. I just forgot how to say it. Growth over the course of this season, and they've got better and better. So I'm really intrigued to see how they fare at the Emirates this time round. And yeah, it's going to be a great game. In terms of those two, I hope they both light up the game. I hope that both have good games. I hope that both make it entertaining, because the Champions League has been, for me, a little bit of a saving grace for the entirety of the campaign. The Premier League's been boring. Teams not going on good enough runs. But all teams, barring Liverpool, not being good enough. Where the Champions League just feels like a completely different world. It's almost been like a different sport in many ways. So yeah, I really do hope they're looking great.
By the way, to put the numbers into context, Terry, because I was curious, I wanted to look it up right now. Dembele is responsible for 34% of PSG's goals and assists this season. Saka is responsible for 27. Not to diss Saka, but that's why I'm trying to say, like, this guy is way more important for his team than what Saka has done this season.
I hear that. But isn't MLS good at the defensive side? Listen, Lewis Skelly up against Dembele, if Dembele's on the right, which we assume he will be, but they've got the versatility at PSG.
Dembele will be down the middle.
Yeah, Dembele will be down the middle, do you think? So it's going to be more...
Because Kvaratskhelia and Doué take the two flanks.
Is that what it will be? But the thing is, they are. But then this is why the starting positions for me are not that important. Because I saw Dembele many a time. I remember at Anfield on that right-hand side, waiting for 1-2s to run in. It's the fluidity of that front line that's so difficult. But look, Lewis Skelly, listen, the man locked up Rodrigo, who's an excellent football player. Again, that's a battle I'm excited to watch as well. Lewis Skelly, it's just the only annoying thing, it's not been at my club. But it's great when you see a player burst onto the scene through an academy that's almost just he's been almost picture perfect this year from a performance point of view. So yeah, it's going to be
He's going to have a big game there, because he's going to have to step into that midfield a lot, especially with no Partey. Yes. And to beat a team like PSG, and I'm pretty sure Arteta is going to do that. He's way too intelligent not to do it, but he's going to try to pack that midfield as much as possible. Because one thing about them that we all praise them for, they're very, very technical, so they can keep the ball for large parts of the game.
Yeah.
To go against a team like that, you want to get enough bodies in there, and he plays them from left back. So the way he's going to be able to help that midfield with no Partey there is going to show me a lot.
That's exactly where the game's going to be won or lost for me, boss. The midfield.
It's the strength versus technicality. So I'm curious to see which.
Yeah, and this is it. The technical proficiency of PSG is massive. But I'm thinking about when Lewis Skelly gets that ball and he turns, he's brilliant on the half turn, and he drives past someone. He was able to drive past the likes of Camavinga and co. I'm not saying they're slouches in the PSG midfield, but I don't think they have the same the physicality wise. That is, and Arsenal did that to them back in September. I think the game was. They just overpowered them, and they're going to have to do the same. By the way, Arsenal. I think to go through, I think they're going to need a similar. It doesn't need to be as dominant, but I think they've got to win the way they did in the league phase. So I think they've got. If they take a 2-0 lead to Paris, I think Arsenal go through.
Exactly. Yeah. The problem PSG had last time, like Staffy said, they didn't start. Obviously, they didn't have KK at the time. They played him in December, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, and they played before January. It was December, November, something like that.
Yeah, and Dembele didn't play. You can argue Dembele is not a striker, but he's more of an outlet than what they played that day.
I thought it was September. You know, August. When it was almost right. It was the 1st of October. 1st of October. They played.
Yeah. So I remember that game well, bro. Like it was yesterday, because I remember Gabriel and Saliba. They had a picnic all game, bro. PSG had no outlet. Everything they were trying to do offensively was just getting shut down by Arsenal. They were pressing them off the ball. They were winning it back high. And every time it would get to the final third, Saliba and Gabriel were just eating my man up. I think it was Lee that they started that game, but it was very easy. But like I said, this time round, the cohesion between that front three, Terry, they never just stay in one position, bro. Sometimes
they are very interchangeable.
Yeah. And it's the one thing they have added since that game, and this is something that Arsenal have got to address in the match, is they didn't play against Kvaratskhelia. I think that's the real the real difference here. At the same time, though, they had Calafiori playing in that game, and I think that Lewis Skelly has come in and just left him behind. In terms of
that was going to be my question to you, Terry, and maybe get to the rest of the guys here. How would you replace Partey? Because we haven't spoken about that. You need to put someone in that midfield. Who would you put?
I mean, what are the options?
You got Jorginho.
Is Jorginho out? Is he fit? Is he fit, Jorginho?
I think
Or
he
is he out?
is.
Or is he
Unless-
out injured? I don't know. I feel like obviously Rice is gonna be in there. I think there is an argument to just put Lewis Kelly into the midfield and just put him in there. And again, it's Calafiori still. They're saying that Jorginho's still out. He's injured, so he's not even an option.
I think he's
not
gonna
even
put
an option.
Marino. Actually, I think he's gonna drop Marino back to the midfield and play Trossard.
That could happen. That could work. In fairness, I think Marino has been a really good stand-in number 9. I actually think their front line looks more balanced with him in it. I actually don't think they should mess that up. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, that would be a bold decision to change it up based on how he's.
Calafiori's still out injured as well.
Yeah,
so yeah, you're gonna have to keep Lewis Kelly. Then you're gonna have to keep Lewis Kelly at left back. Maybe you've got to do that for the first leg. Then yeah, that yellow card looks like it's been costly, man. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Let's do some of these super chats here. This one says Arsenal haters writing narratives in advance now. As what's said here. Why bother ask Don for an Arsenal prediction, Terry? Well, he's on the show. He's on the show. Don, you got man rattled here. Don is a real politician, just waffling lies.
Hey, man,
like 90% of
they
super chat.
don't like the realness. They don't like the realness on their club, man. They act like you've been there before, man. You know, because they've improved and they were in the mud before. Now they just want crazy. Let's tell you the truth about your club, bro.
AMT says, was PSG really great against Aston Villa? Really?
They were until they got complacent. They took the lead.
First half, they were good. But I also think Villa were complacent in the first half. And that's where the crowd play a part. Because I think the crowd was so up for it. The players lost themselves. They were over-pressing. They weren't keeping in shape. And they just leaked two really good from a PSG perspective. But even when you watch the second goal they scored, I think it was Hakimi. I can't remember which Villa player it was. He just let him run past him, and it was just so poor from Villa in the opening 30 minutes. It really was. Enigma here says Lampard scored about 170 goals and about 3 against the top 6. He was so overrated. How people rate him over Gerrard is crazy. He's got to have scored more than 3 against the traditional top 6. He scored against Man United in the Champions League final for 1. Now, yeah, he scored 1 against us in the Champions League final. I remember him getting a penalty against us when you beat us. So I know at least twice he scored against us, but I remember he must have scored more than 3 because I bet he scored at least 3 against Man United. Still can't believe Tom put Vardy over RVP.
The worst thing.
What?
He did what? Over prime RVP.
I need the context.
We were just talking about like Premier League greats, and he ranked Vardy over Van Persie. And he said Van Persie scoring 31 goals for that Arsenal team this season when we smacked them 8-2, and then we took him, and then he carried us, in my opinion, to that league. Those 2 seasons alone is elite. Like the guy was just on talent and on those achievements, the guy was elite. Like when you put both of them, Vardy's not better than him.
Vardy did it at Leicester.
That's the one thing Vardy has, that he took a much lesser team.
Win the league, obviously won the FA Cup as well with Leicester, and to do it like that and to go for as long as he's been going, the longevity.
My argument was that
they're different
was more important for that team than he was.
I know they're both strikers, but it depends what you prefer.
Yeah, it depends what you're talking about.
Was way more talented, bro. He had better dribbling, better ball carrying. He could shoot with his right and his left. He was elite on volleys. He could score from outside the box. He was acrobatic. The guy actually had it all, bro. Like that header he scored in the World Cup. Like, come on.
Yeah, Van Persie is a technically better player. I agree.
I actually think Van Persie was better than Aguero, let alone Vardy.
I think what helped Vardy. This here says Man City overrated Grealish, though. Yeah, Grealish is probably one in that category. Like Grealish is I loved him at Villa. Grealish at Man City is a player that I've just always been a bit meh about. It's just been like a nothing player. And it's annoying because he's so talented. Straight facts with Don should be straight bogus. This is back to earlier conversation saying, remember Shevchenko? Yeah, it's another one. Chelsea. Listen, that's what I'm saying. Chelsea.
Yeah, you ruined that one.
This is the best super chat, though, about who's trying the worst. This is the best one. And this is why maybe objectively, Chelsea take the crown. You man signed Felix twice.
Sit down, Don.
Yeah, it's true. It's a great one. I doubt it. Marino midfield, Trossard left, Nelly center. Big up everyone, and the fraud Staffy.
Why am I fraud? What did I do?
What did I
do? Yo, I'm not. Nafisa just be hating, bro. Like she just sees me existing and she just hates.
Nafisa, you know. I used to work with a lady called Nafisa. Lovely lady she was. Don Waffles then says, we don't want to hear the truth. We have creativity issues against teams that park the bus. Are PSG going to do that?
So first of all, you say I'm waffling, but then you agree that you've got creativity issues, right? Against teams that park the bus, right? PSG do need to slightly park the bus against you lot and get you on a transition. That's what they need to do.
Yeah.
But he's asking, are they going to do that?
I don't know. Am I Enrique? How am I supposed to know?
But you're giving us your prediction.
Well, I think they'll soak up the pressure. Yeah, I do think they'll soak up the pressure and then get you like that.
Don, could you give us your prediction for the game, please? I can't do that. I'm not the manager. Who do you think is going to win out of Ben and Eubank? I have no idea. I'm not one of the fighters, Terry. It's just I love you, man. Trossard and Marino swap positions regularly depending on the phase of play. Both of them start is my pick. Havertz swaps with Trossard too. Yes, what they did in that first game. So yeah, maybe that's a ticket for the first leg. But you got Partey back for the second, and that's going to be massive because Partey, and they're about to do a new deal. He has been phenomenal this year. He's been as a player. You can't deny it.
I kept saying he's the 6 and Rice is the 8.
Partey's been their most consistent midfielder for me.
Yeah, he's been great. FA Cup this weekend, gents. Want to get your views and predictions on the first game, which is tomorrow, which is Crystal Palace Aston Villa. Who do you think is going through to the next round, to the final?
Go to Lawless first. Lawless.
Villa are gonna slap those fraud pretenders up. They've been making up the numbers, never won a trophy in their entire history, and they're not about to start now. So Aston Villa, it's gonna be long for Crystal Palace. I tell you that. So yeah, easy work for Villa.
Do you know what it is for me? I wouldn't mind Palace winning the game and winning the trophy. The problem is I don't want Palace to go through because they're first. And I think if Palace go up against City, it's over. Massive pitch, the way City play football. I actually think it's only Aston Villa are the only ones with a chance of beating City in the final, if that makes sense. I don't think Palace will be able to. So for that reason, I hope Villa go through to the final. I hope Rashford scores the winning goal because then we can get more money for him. I've got an agenda here. It's about Operation Fix My Club's Bank Balance. So yes,
he's not cup side or anything. He hasn't played.
No. He's not. He can play the games. He scored in the last round.
Oh no, he did. He did score in the FA Cup.
Brace this weekend from Rashi. Brace in the final. We'll get that 60 million bag for him. We'll be laughing. It'll be great. How about the other game? Forest versus Man City. Forest have been a tough team for City in recent years. They have beaten them, but they've struggled to do it. But it's going to be obviously it's going to be on a massive pitch. It's going to be at Wembley. Will they step up? They had a brilliant win against Tottenham Monday night. Will Forest step up, or do you see City just being too strong? A ground they're very familiar with.
Nuno masterclass, man. We'll be there for it. Barmouche hype, another Egyptian fraud. I'm just kidding. But Forest, yeah, I'd like to see a final between Forest and maybe Palace or Villa. I don't want to see City be in the final again.
Yeah.
Or even winning again. Obviously, all of us as rivals don't want to see City win, but I think it would be very refreshing seeing a final from two teams that we don't really associate with winning trophies lately. Forest once a great team, Villa once a great team. Well, club, I should say. They're both doing well this season, but when's the last time they won trophies? Someone needs to check Google. But it would be nice to see some of these teams in the final. So I hope they win. I think they have it in them to win as well. I mean, we all know City's biggest kryptonite and Pep's biggest kryptonite is a team that can defend well and have enough pace on the counterattack and have an outlet. And I think they've showed this a lot this season. I actually found a stat yesterday. Elanga has the best ball carrying stats per yard in the league this season. No one carries the ball more than him per game this season. So he's going to play a big factor as well. Yeah,
on the trophies, the last time Aston Villa won the League Cup in 95-96, they beat Manchester United. Aston Villa's last FA Cup, though, was 1957. Their last league title was 1981. So you've got to go back to 1996 for their Villa's last trophy. You've got to go back to 81 before their last major trophy and 1957 before their last FA Cup. Nottingham Forest, they haven't won the league since 1978. They last won the FA Cup in 1959. They last won the League Cup in 1990. And they obviously won the European Cup in 78. 79 and 80. They won it back-to-back years. So it's been a hell of a long time. We know Palace have never won one. It's been a hell of a long time for those two teams since they've lifted. It's been 35 years since they lifted any trophy, Aston Villa. Nottingham Forest. So I would like to see a couple. Again, if Forest go through, then I'd be very happy for Palace to go through as well because they've never won one. It would be nice for a team that haven't won a trophy for a long time, or in Villa's case, never won Palace's place to win one. I know you don't want that idea because you're worried about what D will be like.
Hey, I'm telling you, if Palace get to the final, yeah, Terry, I'm telling you, bro, yeah, and if Palace somehow win this FA Cup, Lawless, yeah, don't even try to tell me, yeah, we've got more FA Cups than these, man, because in these lifetime, you would have seen more FA Cups than you have. Yeah. So this is
what I don't get. And Terry and Staffy, you cannot agree with this at all, right? That trophies only really count if they happen in your lifetime. Right?
Yeah, that's bullshit.
No one said that. No one said that. That's what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying. You keep saying lifetime.
No, that's not what I'm saying, Lawless.
Who gives a shit about lifetime?
Bro, your FA Cups, yeah, your FA Cups that you won before, you can take them as a West Ham fan. Yeah, Bobby Moore and these man, all them man, cool. That's fair enough. But the fact is, right? D would have seen an FA Cup in his life, and you wouldn't. And he is not going to let you rest. And he is not going to let you rest.
He saw a conference league.
So he's not going to. No, he's got a conference, but bro, listen, he ran a conference more than FA Cup.
No, I don't. But he still saw something. He saw a European Cup.
Yeah, I've seen a trophy. My club has more trophies.
Bro, I'll tell you what. The Palace fans would shit themselves to win a conference league.
I get your point, Don, that he's witnessed that the winning of that, and that's a really important thing. But I do, to Lawless's point, I'm not saying you were doing it. Some people, I have heard people say that, like where they go, you can't count these trophies there 80 years ago. They're this. I know you didn't say that. I don't like that take. But yeah, listen, it's a massive thing to win. But that's why I was happy when West Ham won the Conference League. It was, for me, as much as I can put rivalry and dislike of a club aside to watch fans, because there's a different, as a Man United fan, even if we won the league in next year, 5 years time, it's been 10, 15 plus years, it would feel amazing. But we win so many trophies. And even in the 70s and 80s, when we were getting relegated, we were still picking up trophies. For certain clubs that have never won them or have rarely won them, I find it quite nice to watch them win something. It's just, the emotion of the fans is very different to teams that win regularly, if that makes sense, and it's nice to see.
It's like, imagine bantering like a Leicester fan bantering an Arsenal fan who's like 20 years old and going, see, we've got a Premier League. You haven't won one in your lifetime, so you can't chat to me because of you haven't seen your team win a Premier League, and I have. The
one thing I would say is true is that you as a West Ham fan don't know what it feels like to win an FA Cup personally, because you don't remember that element makes sense. I know what
it's like to win a trophy.
No, I get that. I do get that. No, I agree.
This idea that Palace overtake West Ham because in one Palace fan's lifetime.
Oh no. They can't, because you man have got, look at this here. You guys have got again four League Cups, 2 FA Cups, two.
You got 3 FA Cups.
Sorry, I'm reading the wrong. I'm reading Forest's page. Sorry, 3 FA Cups, no League Cups actually. Cup Winners' Cup, Conference League. Like, you've got 2 European trophies and 3 FA Cups. 1 FA Cup in 2025 can't make Palace a bigger club than West Ham. We can't do that.
Wait, did Palace ever win a trophy?
None ever.
Oh yeah, bro. Put this convo to bed, bro.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Exactly.
I agree.
But the guy still talks the loudest. So whether they win, lose, or whatever, he's still gonna chat. So
yeah. DJ here says all of Chelsea striker flops won trophies, so who cares? But a lot of the players that Don mentioned won trophies at Man United as well.
Where's the worst argument ever when you try to justify a player by a trophy won? I keep reminding people Anderson is better than Gerrard. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, just on trophies you can't.
Like
5 leagues, 1 Champions League. I won that debate.
It counts if the player is integral in winning that trophy, but there we go.
Anderson scored a penalty. There we go. That logic.
He took a penalty. And Hoyland have trophies. Pogba has trophies. Did Falcao win the trophy?
No, I don't think Falcao did. No.
No, he didn't. We won the FA Cup.
He wasn't. I don't think he was there for the FA Cup. But so there we go. Listen, everybody that has tuned in, I want to say a big thank you to each and every single one of you. Go and check out my latest podcast with Mark Goldbridge. You can scan the QR code on the screen right now. Go and follow us over there on Spotify and give us a little 5-star rating. That would be amazing if you could. Lawless, Don, Staffy, always a pleasure to talk football with you boys. Until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.